Welcome back, everybody. This is, God, I think this is session 8, session 9 now of the Corsairs of the Iron Mist. Um, it's been a handful of days, we're going to say 4 days, since that fight on the open sea with those two Tyrannian vessels. The bloodbath that happened on the ship that actually did indeed make it out in one piece. Thank you, Rockbeak. Um, and you've towed these two lumbering hulks to a small chain of islands. It's not quite large enough to be an archipelago, and it's a little too um, far dispersed from something the next largest chain of islands, which you guys have come to know as Sir Kelsa, which is a colony run by the Ebon folk out of Felport. It's a lovely mixed race of Ebon folk and the native islander Yathites there. Granus has been made captain of the new Moon's Mistress now. And we will pick up 3 days. You've beached the Moon's Mistress and are cleaning her hull, which you come to find out is absolutely filthy. They had not it's seen better days. The fact that Garanus is now made a captain, and he comes to discover, looking at the underside of his new beast here, they did not take care of it. I am sorry. They didn't. They're either that or they were going to when they got back. Poor bastards didn't make it out alive anyway. But now this is your lemon that you have to deal with. I will turn it over to the players now. Introduce yourselves and describe your characters for us, please.
All right, so Garanus, the newly minted Captain Garanus, does not believe in the idea of sitting back and making his crew work. Okay, that's what he says. The fact that he has a very, very small crew doesn't really, allow him to do it either. So he's currently stripped down to the waist. His skin has a sort of a mottled gray and black texture to it. It looks sort of similar to an ash tree with the bright green eyes. His dark hair is pulled back in a queue at the back at the base of his neck at the moment. He's wearing at the moment unbleached linen trousers and some soft boots as he's sitting there on the beach, or standing on the beach next to this beached ship, and scraping her hull of barnacles and all kinds of other things that like to attach themselves to the hulls of ships and slowly eat away at their wooden flesh. As other members and such of his crews around him as well, the sun beating down on them. For the more human-like individuals, it's darkening their skin, but it's actually sort of invigorating Garanus, because that whole sun and the Arborians have almost a harken back to an ancient day when they may have been plants. He occasionally yells out at a young boy, Darius,
who is slacking off again.
Yes, he was always seems to be slacking off, and he's getting him back into his position to pry these barnacles off of the hull and inspect where they've already scraped away to make sure that there's not any splintering where they might have to actually recoke the hull.
You come to find out that the island that you're on, being the rocky mess that it is, has plenty of good, at least temperate species of trees. So if need be, you really don't want to, but you can fell some trees and spend more time on this island. I mean, which might take a few more weeks to a couple more months of refitting this hull. if the thing actually needs to be repaired. Um, this group of islands is actually just beyond the lip of the you've crossed out of the Ebonmyst Sea and into the Sea of Thorana, which starts your temperature and your climate starting to get warmer and warmer as soon as you closer get to the tropics. But it's still cool enough closer to the continent of Aurum where you will get temperate and arboreal trees as opposed to palms, which is not good for repairing ships. Um, and we'll take it away to Silas here.
Well, Silas will also be scrubbing the hull, getting barnacles off with the captain. He is a Atean. He's 6 foot tall and he's lean. His once pale skin has been darkened and tanned by the sun. He wears his long pitch black hair and a ponytail. He wears nothing but a pair of breeches on right now with his 2 daggers at his side. His bare chest is covered in Atean hieroglyphic tattoos and various pictures, and his back is scarred with a massive claw mark from where he got ambushed by a rather particularly pissed off tiger. And he is out here breaking his ass for the captain. He is making sure that everyone else is doing their job too, as he looks at Darius, because he knows that he is a perpetual slacker, and he makes sure that he's also going to pull his weight because he's not going to do his work and Silas's work at the same time. He's not doing that. There's not enough people here, so everybody's got to pull double their weight. So he is going at this cleaning with everything he's got. The toughest foe he's ever have is the barnacles, because they're just not wanting to come off. So he is putting a bit of elbow grease into it and doing his best.
You will spend much of this day, and we'll say you get maybe a fifth of this ship's worth of barnacles off of the bottom of the ship. It is grueling and blistering. A couple of you get some rather horrible sunburns, but your bronze and bark skin kind of staves that off. Not near, you don't get near as badly burnt as the rest of the humans of the neighboring crews, but Grimnir has pressed his much of his Atean crew into helping you, and this ship will become ship shape as quick as possible if we can get away with it. Sometime that evening, Zakiti comes to you in your tents, and she says that the stormy monsoon season is now behind us, so we should, and she kind of crosses her dainty white fingers and says we should be able to finish this without incurring the wrath of Lekra or any other monsoon that would come by, because a monsoon or a hurricane would certainly destroy the rest of the ship, especially in its very vulnerable state. What do you guys do for that first evening?
Of course, with the men after they've scraped the hull and such, with that kind of work, you want to reward them a bit. So, was there any rum on this boat or any kind of alcohol at all?
Oh, there's plenty.
Okay.
Of anything there. That's okay. The Turanians do enjoy their alcohol.
Okay. Well, Granis is going to make us some grog, which is, basically it's watered down. It's watered down rum with citrus fruit juice added to it. usually lemon. So it's sort of almost a tart type alcoholic drink, and it's meant to both reward the crew with a bit of alcohol, but also get some of that fruit juice into them, so not developing scurvy. So he makes sure that there's a batch of that mixed up for the men that evening, and we'll build some fires out there on the beach and roast some whatever kind of meat we can get our hands on, be it fish, or if there's happened to be any wildlife on the island, we can possibly roast it. We'll probably do that too. So if we can snare us one.
I'd say, well, since the Black Hearts are still here, the Black Lotus, Grant, has Rockbeak actually returned with any, I suppose, any game on the island?
Maybe a few wild boars or something like that. He would have wrestled up some.
Okay. How many would he have been able to bring back in, say, like a 2-day stint off into the jungle?
In 2 days, probably, maybe like 4 or 5 of them.
All right.
Maybe like a little herd of them in 2 days.
How many would Rockbeak actually? How many other sailors would Rockbeak have actually taken with him?
He probably won't 2 at the most. I mean, he does all the work himself, but he'll have the other people to carry back the boars and everything, because he can't carry them all back by himself.
Well, Captain Garanus, as well as the other crews, you guys have yourself a rather nice feast there. Saving the barbecue ribs for the captains.
Okay.
Or what would be the equivalent of barbecue ribs in this time period?
Yeah, you roasted pork ribs, basically, carved off of the ribs, whatnot. Did we have any salt in the stores by chance?
The Tyrannian that you have, the Moon's Mistress,
Yes.
has 2 barrels of it, actually, and one is maybe like 80% full. The other 2 ships have 3 barrels.
Okay. In that case, what he's going to do is he's going to, at least on one of the boars, if it's okay with Rockbeak, he'd like to have the hams cut off and have them cooked up, and then he's going to coat them in salt to preserve them, and possibly some of the bacon too out of it, the pork belly, basically, just for later provisions later on, so we're not constantly eating eggs and fish. The little flavor in there every once in a while. So, but the rest of it, the
adventure.
The rest of the pig, is going to be cooked up and distributed among the men, and make sure they eat very well. Any native fruits we'd be able to get a hold of, or vegetables, anything out of the tubers or anything?
You could find wild tubers.
Okay.
Off the top of my head, I don't know of any species, but I mean, copy and paste your own knowledge. There is wild growing bananas. There's not many, but they are there.
Well, if they're bananas, there are probably plantains in the area too. They tend to grow in the same clusters. They're related, basically.
Well, let's see here. Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay. You can find both.
Okay, all right.
There's
so we'll get some together.
Plantains at this point.
Yeah.
There you go.
So we'll have the tomorrow. I'm going to have Darius, since he's not very good at scrubbing the ship. I'm going to have him on detailed on getting us some bananas and some plantains to take on board his stores for more for that. And I want him. I'm going to have him look for a and he's talked to all the ship captains or people on the different ships. Mm-hmm. But I am going to have him go out and look for me about 3 feet of chorus line.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So yes, he's going to have to ask for about 3 feet of chorus line. So if he can get it, so that's what he's going to be doing tomorrow. In other words, something to keep his ass busy.
he give him the shit jobs so he actually shit.
Well, it's also a tradition among maritime people, from what I understand, to do the have the unattainable quest. If they have to go to each person and they ask for it, and they send to somebody else and they ask for, oh, you got to go over to here to so and so, and basically it keeps them running around for most of the day. So it also keeps them underfoot.
Yeah, so the other captains just kind of like, they smile rather evilly at each other. Like, all right.
Yeah, so
A couple of times, this poor bastard is sent to Rockbeak, and Grant, you can certainly, as Rockbeak, have a go at this poor bastard.
Well, Rockbeak doesn't have time for this shit, basically. So when this young greenhorn comes up to him, and he's busy getting preparations ready for the Black Lotus, make sure that it's ready to go and everything. He's making sure that the stocks are taken care of, everything's stocked and written down, and keeping a ledger and everything, keeping the men in line. And then you get this young buck coming up here asking him for some rope, some twine. He doesn't even fucking know. And he's not very happy with them. So he ignores him at first because he's too busy focused, but he's just keeps pestering him. And he's so persistent. So finally, he just turns around and he just gives him this horrible glare with that just hole in his head where his eyes should be, and his gnarled, grotesque beak clacking at him. And he just stares at him for a good minute. And the boy looks like he's going to shit himself, but he is on a mission. So he asks again for this rope. And Rockbeak, he will he'll turn that glower into almost a equally disturbing smile, if you will, if you could smile. And he'll say, "Oh yeah, I get that. It's in the hole there. Why don't you go roam around, rummage in there and look for it." And he'll send them in there to the hold to have him rummage around looking for this chorus line. And Rocky will just chuckle to himself. And he's like, that'll keep him off my beak for a while. And he spends like a good hour rummaging through the entire stock of the Black Lotus before he finally figures, oh, sorry, no, we don't have that. No, not that particular chorus line. No, you're gonna have to go talk to the other guys. And if he ever comes back, Rockbeak will basically give him the hands, saying, "I ain't got time for you, boy. I told you I ain't got this chorus line. Get the fuck out of here." So
when the kid finally buggers off, Kel has taken notice, and he just comes over to Rockbeak with this shit-eating grin on his face. He just kind of like elbows you a little bit. What did you say to him?
he was looking for some chorus line, so I had him go into the hold and look for it. But we happened not to have that. We kind of ran out, right?
Oh yeah, I don't know why you sent him in there, but
and get him off my back.
Oh, he actually yells over to Darius as he's going across the camp. Go ask who's Goranis's man? That's his
Silas.
Yeah, go ask Silas. Go ask, he should know. He has it. He's the chorus man. Go get him. Of course, Darius like all excited, or just he fucks off to go harass Silas. Silas, sir, I'm sorry to bother you, but Captain Kel and first mate Rockbeak told me that you have the chorus line.
Does he really sound like that?
Yeah, right. He weaselly and mousy and miserable. He just
Oh my god. So Silas will he'll still be getting barnacles off because it's
In the
not done
heat.
yet. In the heat.
It's like 110 degrees.
There's no shade. The ship provides very little shade as you're underneath there getting all the
Especially
barnacles
at this
off.
time of day. And there's
Um,
no wind. There's no wind.
So he's miserable. His hands are cut up from the shells and the barnacles. And the salt water doesn't make it any better. So he just look around. He'll just turn around and look at him with his sweat and sea spray soaked blindfold, and it's so wet. It's almost he can see the light, the faint light illuminating from it, and he'll see his eyes just narrow. And like, are you really bothering me with this?
The other captains told me to come talk to you, though. The other captains just Kel shoots a look over at Captain Garanis, and he just smiles, wide, Igniad smile. He just winks.
He's like, what was that chorus line you said? And he'll stop now. He'll just like, I think I remember that chorus line naturally grows next to a banana trees. You should probably scale a few.
Oh my god.
If the other captains are out and they don't have it in their hold, I'm sure the natural flora and fauna of this island will have the chorus line you need. And if you don't find it at first, just keep looking because it can be tricky to find, especially in this time of season. You really got to look for it.
And Garanis yells down from where he is a little further than the ship and says, and while you're at it, grab some bananas too while you're up there.
The Captain Grimnir is coming down the beach from his ship that is just lightly at anchor, some about 100 yards down the beach from you guys. And it's like, oh, Darius, why don't you just bring bananas for everybody? And he just kind of like his index finger in a whirlwind, just indicating like maybe like the 200 people that are in this compound. And Darius just kind of looks over like, okay. He just looks up at Garanis. For everybody?
Yeah, for everybody. You can do it. If you need to, I mean, he motions to a couple of the younger men that are about that are probably just freshly from the last port that had joined up some of these guys. Round a couple of these guys up and have them help you. Maybe you can actually maybe like find 6 or 7 fitted chorus line. You never know. You get all you guys together to look at the same time, hey, and do it. And, maybe they'll teach you some sea shanty or something. Learn to sing or something,
Grimnir marches over, and he's admiring Garanis' work there, and he just yeah, of course, absolutely. He just kind of looks down, hiding his smile, like, oh, finally we get rid of him.
Mm.
He takes off his jacket and hangs it on like a sawhorse nearby, and then picks up a chisel, and he gets down right next to you.
Okay. Well, thank you, Captain, but you don't have to dirty your hands in this kind of work. You don't need to, but I appreciate it.
I'm climbing the walls in my cabin, and Zakiti is sleeping, so
okay.
I need out.
And by all means, sir. So he chisels it, takes his hammer and chisel and tries to pop off and get it wedged in there to pop up another barnacle off of his hole there, and hits it a couple times. He said, so I think we'll have this thing done in a few days. So you should be ready to set sail, put her back in the water. So.
Kel will walk up behind you two, and he actually just kind of look down, and he goes, God, I hope by then the wind picks up. He just kind of looks up at the palms. You guys haven't had wind for 2 days.
Garanis will pause for a moment and look up, tossing the barnacle into the we have buckets scattered about because barnacles are edible.
Oh yeah.
And he'll look around at the still trees. Yeah, I definitely hope so too. I know Zakiti said something about not having any storms, but a breeze would be nice.
In this dratted weather, of course. Kel just looks down a few yards over at Silas, who's dying under that ship. And he just kind of like nudges Garanus with the toe of his boot. Or actually, Kel's not wearing boots. He's wearing sandals, actually. He goes, you might want to call your man off.
So, hey, Silas, take a break.
Hi, Captain.
Now get you some water and a little something in you. You're looking a little wan down there. Wan? Is that a word? Wayne? Wan? No, it's one of them.
Silas will just chuck the last barnacle into the pile over there, toss down his hammer and chisel, and he'll gladly go and quaff down some water. But
Kel will chime in and say, and make sure we see it. He just kind of like looks down at Garanus and he's like, sorry, not my ship. And he
That's
just,
okay.
he just stretches.
That's okay. Old habits die hard. I understand. Yeah. But he turns around and stops after he says that and says, make sure I see it. Just reiterating it.
And
Silas
with that
drinks the
voice,
water in front of him.
There you
I mean,
All right.
he's drinking the water. He obliges.
Definitely hydrate there. So, gentlemen, what is our, as I said, I'll be following you fellas wherever you're heading to next, I suppose. At least we'll get to some civilization and I can put on a proper crew. So, where do you think we'll be heading to next?
Kel takes a few steps away, grabs a crate, and he kind of upturns it. Oh, he makes sure it's empty, upturns it, and then he sits down on it next to you guys. He says, well, I hadn't had time to tell you two before before the action, but Sir Kelsa is kind of a yes, it is the next closest civilization, but there's a bit of a conflict with a couple of the pirate kings, and you may not wish to get involved there. The nearest after that is Rama, which is another 3 months down the line. You just island hop all the way there. But those are Yathites. Mainland are Yathites, and with the amber colored eyes, not the amethyst colored eyes, as you know. But you don't harass anyone in Sir Kelsa, and you'll be perfectly fine.
Okay.
If you show up with Grim, and he just kind of looks over, and Grim just looks up and he just nods. Well, if you show up with Grim, or if I decide to turn around and go back that way as well, you'll be fine. You'll be coming with the Black Lotus and with the Dawnthorn. No one to mess with you.
That's what I hope for. So my worst fear is to get out there and attract by ourselves and attract a pirate with this little small crew I'll have.
No, we can't be having that.
No, we want to be in a prize before you know it. So, and I'd like to hang on, and he pats the side of his ship. He's like, hang on to it for a little bit. So do you know if Zakiti's had any luck seeing if they can get me a pilot?
She's looking for a seer. Grim chimes in. She's looking for a seer amongst her people. That way, I mean, we have Zakiti. He points over to Kel. We have Satsu. And then if we have another one with you, that means we will have three seers that are knowledgeable of each other, who can speak to each other rather quickly. It doesn't matter where I am. I could be on the clear other side of our room, and I can still hear about you.
That'd be good. That'd be very good. We can. So, how I'm sort of new to this whole thing with these moonfolk. Is there like a protocol that I'm supposed to follow with them, or a certain, like, I don't know, is there like special food I need to have on board?
Just make sure really they eat better than the others.
of
Kel says,
course.
if Satsu is not well maintained, think of her like, and he kind of like turns around and looks back at his own ship, and he actually kind of like with his chin kind of points over. There's a moonfolk woman, and her hair is actually jet black, gorgeous, thick black hair that goes down to the back of her knees. It's like Sephiroth hair.
Oh, wow.
And she's got it in like one ponytail that just hangs out like a drape. She's wearing a kind of a white and periwinkle colored kimono with peony petals across it. It's got a very nice floral print on it. She's very beautiful. But as you can tell, she's clearly much older than Zakiti. And Kel, I mean, he looks very, somewhat longingly and lovingly at her. Not like they're a mated pair or anything, but a very, very beloved friend. He says, think of her like, as indeed a person, yes, but also a well-maintained tool. They need to be made to be comfortable. They need to be well maintained. Seers, mystics, magicians, they require their environment to be a certain way so that they can perform for us under duress.
Of course. So yes, they're the eyes and ears upon the waves. Without them, we're lost. There's no way to know where we're going.
And Satsu can be quite vicious, actually, when we have when we're chasing down a prize. She has been known to call up a squall to out of nowhere to stop someone. She has been able to push more wind into the sails so we can close upon a prize quicker. She is and can be very nasty, especially if she's not taken care of. So be aware.
Okay.
Not many ships have individuals like this. Most ships travel with a priest of the crushing depths, if you're lucky. And he indicates the three of you captains. We lucky three are able to travel with seers.
That is a good thing. Then yes, it's. I did not realize they were as powerful as they are. I thought they could only just maybe learn things from the way the waves roll or the birds fly. I didn't realize they could actually call up winds and squall lines and such. So,
that from what I understand, and Kellis still speaking, from what I understand, that creates more stress upon the seer and requires more what these mystics consider preparation. She needs the most interesting things I need to find in ports, or we need to find. She told me to find spring water that I had to go get on a specific moon cycle on a certain day. So this was 6 months ago, and she told me to go. So I get her a barrel, so I don't have to come back. So I bring it myself, and she told me to cut my finger, and put it in a little jar. I don't know why, but she wanted some hair, she wanted some fingernails. And he looks at Grim, and Grim just kind of like, yeah, dude, preaching to the choir, man. So the things you will have to learn, Uranus, is I mean, when we find you one, if we find you one.
A lot of maintenance there, but then again, having that kind of ability to to help with the hunt and such, I think would be it was worth it. Um, he yells over at Silas, come over here, Silas.
Silas will go over there and sit down with the captains.
Yeah, I'm thinking about making Silas for my first mate, gentlemen. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Graham will say, "Oh well, the boy deserves it," and he kind of like, I mean, are you actually sitting down on the sand, or did you bring like a bucket over and sit down?
No, he's just sitting on the sand.
Okay.
Graham will put his hand on the side of your head and he'll push you over. He deserves it. He's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Garanus is going to go over and finish popping this last barnacle off and take that bucket and pour it into the larger barrel that we're probably keeping them in. He takes that bucket and flips it over and sits down on it himself to take a moment, wipes a bit of sweat from his brow. He says, "Yeah, he does." So
you guys have kind of like lowered your voices to an almost like conspiratorial tone. As I mean, this is a need to know basis kind of thing. Kel shoots a look over to Rockbeak, and Kel doesn't really need to say much, but I mean, you've known each other long enough where he just doesn't have to say anything. You know what he wants, and he goes. He kind of like points over to Satsu, your guys' seer, and he's gonna ask you, kind of asks you with his eyes, "Bring her here." Or see if she will come, really, is kind of what that look means.
Rockbeak,
invite her.
Yeah, right.
Rockbeak, he lets out a sigh because it's dealing with this Beverly Hills drama queen, basically. And he hates dealing with her because he has to be not Rockbeak. He has to be nice. He has to, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Okay, what do you want? He has to take care of this prissy. So he's just kind of, why? Basically. And he'll trudge off towards her. And he's
you
hoping.
Don't like her, but she certainly likes you.
Oh, no. He likes her. Don't get me wrong. She is an integral part of the ship and everything. He just hates how much maintenance she is. It is horrible. But he trudges off there, and he's hoping that this won't take, an hour to convince her to come down here, and she won't throw him on some, quest to go find, a specific leech or something that dwells like in a hole somewhere on the island they has to dig out or something. So he goes off on his quest. He'd rather honestly go find the chorus line at this point.
There you go. That sets a tone. I'd rather go look for the chorus line instead of speak to the seer. But she kind of looks up from her desk there, and she looks at the impressive brute that Rockbeak is, and she gives you a winning smile. You know what that smile means? Like, oh no, not more chores. She just goes, "Well, good morning."
He just scratches back of his bald head there, and he's like, yeah. Good morning. Kel would like it very much if you would come join him on the beach, if you're so inclined to. And he kind of has that look like, please say yes. Like, come on.
She just looks down at what she's doing, and she actually she was writing, and she kind of finishes the sentence, writes a couple more notes, and then puts the stick of charcoal down. She goes, "All right, I'll come visit."
He has that look like, oh shit, like really, and he's like, oh okay, let's go, and he'll help her,
That was easy.
Yeah, basically, I don't know, he doesn't trust it though. She's not down there yet, but he'll get the make sure that the plank and everything, the everything is clean as she walks down it and everything, and he'll even hold her kimono so don't drag through the sand. He's used to this kind of shit, so he'll do that and hopefully get her there with the utmost haste before she changes her mind.
And usually she is inclined to change her mind because she gets distracted with something. She really saw something in the future or saw something in a premonition, but this time that is not so. And she kind of like glides over gracefully, beautifully, and she gives the rest of you a winning smile. Which, I mean, I'd almost just enchants the socks off of you. She says, "Good morning, gentlemen."
Uranus stands when she comes over and gives her a little stiff bow because he's seen men do this most of his life.
Mm.
You know, when a lady, like especially someone of status, comes into their area, they always would stand up and try to give them a bow. And he says, "Hello, lady. It is an honor for you to come over and speak to us." He looks at the captain's like, "Is that right?"
Silas will get up too, rather quickly, even though he is in just agony. Every muscle in his body is telling him just to fall on the ground and lay there. But he gets up. He'll do like a little bow to her. His sunburn, wincing as through the sunburn of his bending over. But he has to, if he's going to be first mate, he's got to have a certain etiquette there. So he fucking plays politics here. And she is a gorgeous moonfolk, and he's already seen Zakidi, so he knows how to treat these moonfolk from what interaction he's had with Zakidi. So basically, he's nice to her. He bows. He's courteous because he doesn't want to incur any wrath that may be brought down upon him for being dishonorable.
Kel actually gets up. Here, Satsu, here, have this. I have to go look over our crew here. Have a seat here, dear. And he actually kind of like nudges Rockbeak. He's like, "All right, let's get the fuck out of here before she tells us to do something."
Rockbeak gives him the look like, "Oh, thank God!" Thank every god on the earth, because at first he thought you're gonna leave me here with her. You're gonna go off. Like, what the fuck? What the hell is going on here? I've been first mate for how long? I don't get paid enough for this shit. But finally, he books it with the celerity of a man whose ass is on fire. He waddles off to the sand like a bat out of hell.
Yeah, you've got your own shit to do. And Kel kind of gives the other two captains a look like, "Hot, no, she's your fucking problem." We dip out. They go back to taking care of their crews and getting everything set up. They're about ready to actually leave, but they're either waiting for the tide or waiting until either Grim or Garanus go ahead and say, "Yeah, we don't need a third ship here." But they're kind of sticking around for the whole numbers aspect, like safety and numbers kind of thing. You guys don't know if this island is inhabited, so as far as we're concerned, Rockbeak didn't see any signs of intelligent inhabitation. So,
but I mean, he didn't go, deep on to the island. He just
oh no.
So who knows what the hell's in there?
And the last thing you guys need is cannibals. That's the last thing you need.
Oh yeah,
cannibals who worship a certain fish monster who he may or may not have killed.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's true. So, okay.
Worshippers of Dagon? What? Oh. Hi, H.P. Lovecraft. How you doing?
What mythos is this? Where are we?
Just a little bit. They're all mythos. So Uranus sort of looks at Kel as he's walking away with sort of a falling look in his eyes as he's like, "I thought you were gonna have be there to talk," and but then he looks sort of nervously at this moonfolk seer who's apparently looking at him, probably wonderingly like, "Why am I here now?" And
she is looking into you. Like you're not sure if she can read your mind or not. You don't put it past her.
Uranus gets sort of he sort of stiffens his back up a little bit, and he almost looks a little pale. You know, it's sort of hard to see, through his skin colorations and such. But he might have been just a slight shade lighter gray there for a moment. And he sort of clears his throat. He says, "Milady, I believe Captain Kell's idea for asking me to come over here was, I may be taking on a pilot of your people myself in the near future. And I've been asking these captains about advice on making sure that they're well taken care of and made comfortable so that they're not inconvenienced by being in my employ. And I would like to ask if you have any advice that you would pass on to me in that regard."
Well, she very gracefully sits down on the crate that Kel had offered up to her, and she kind of shoots a look to uh, Grimnir, and he just kind of like nods his accord, like, yeah, it's kind of where we're at. And she takes a few moments. She kind of looks back at Kel again with that familiarity and with the look of a beloved friend in her eye. Well, I cannot speak for your vessel or Grimnir's, but Kel gives me my own cabin, and he makes sure that I have all of the materials that I need.
I believe I can.
Even if she takes a really long pause, and you kind of get the feeling that she may or may, of all things in the world, you kind of see a flash of like self-consciousness in her eyes. Because even though I may seem quite demanding in my needs, I do keep my crew safe.
I can understand the ways of your people are, they're very much alien to me, but I can tell you, and if you wish to pass this on to your folk who may be considering joining my crew, I welcome any of them to come aboard, and I will do my utmost to give them the comfort they deserve. As a matter of fact, I'm going to. One of my tasks today is going to be making sure that these cabins are livable, and I'll make sure one is put aside specifically for a pilot if they would join me.
Of the 50-some individuals that we had rescued from the Tyrannian barbarians, 2/3 of them are male. And from what I've seen and heard from them, a good half of their number have been sailors in their lifetime before being enslaved. So, with your permission, Captain, I would be willing to pass that on and offer these lads. She actually kind of takes a few moments, and she has a very thick Moonfolk accent, and she uses the Fey-wise word for lads. She kind of like paused and switched languages there for a moment.
Okay.
She's like, I think that's what your language calls them.
Yes.
I would pass that on to these lads and offer them work under your flag. Keep in mind, our people make excellent coastal pirates, but the deep sometimes frightens us.
I understand that. I was hesitant when I took passage on the Dawnthorn myself about the deeper ocean. I've come to love it, but it wouldn't break my heart if we were to stay more coastal, for at least for the time being. Obviously, with not having oars, I wouldn't want to get too far out into the ocean and then not be able to make my way back.
She looks up at the palm fronds that are still not moving in the wind, and she says, "Yes, but in uh, in a much more light and pleasing fashion. Our kind get along very well with your Ateans from down here. She gives Silas a very winning, very beautiful smile at that.
Silas will like blush and look away from her, like he's not worthy. Look upon this woman, like don't look me in the eye. What the hell? I'm not worthy for this shit.
We both. When you look away, she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. We are both from seafaring cultures, are we not?"
Yes, we are, my lady. We are.
The only difference is your hieroglyphics are very hard to understand. But Brahm, and she kind of like turns and points. I don't know where he's at. He's very handsome with one eye, but I don't. He's been teaching me the hieroglyphics of your language, but they're quite difficult and complex letters.
Our people are xenophobic isolationists, so the hieroglyphics weren't made with the intent of anyone else learning them, so it could be difficult. I understand.
Her face kind of lights up. She goes, "Oh, you're secretive too."
Yes, they're very secretive.
Everyone has their secrets. Some are just better at hiding them.
Zakiti, I've spoken to Zakiti. She's trying to find us a seer or someone who could pass in as a mundane pilot until they are able to learn the ways of the seer.
I very much. I want to find a way to make her something or give her something to, in thanks for that. What would be appropriate, do you think?
Well, Grim kind of chimes in. She goes, "You haven't finished that armor, have you?"
I'm pretty close to it. I can probably finish it in a day or so.
Yeah, Silas just looks at his like naked chest, and you're kind of like, yeah, he hasn't finished the armor. Basically, that kind of look he has, like, yeah.
So I can definitely have that finished in a day or so. I can get the forge set up here on the beach, and it's a little easier because it's more stable here to beat out that bronze. So I think that's what I'll do for the next couple of days is finish that up while they're finishing the ship up. It's mostly scrubbed free.
The most, Grim says, the most you can do for Sakiti right now is to finish that. She's already scouring the captives. Well, he kind of just like mulls over the word captives. Well, the freed slaves, really. She will get more mileage out of the armor than anything else.
And I will most definitely make sure she gets it and make sure it's presented to her before you leave.
I hope she is successful in finding us a seer, because Silas just look up at the still trees and like, without wind and with this fine Terranian vessel without oars, we're stranded here at the mercy of the elements.
And unfortunately, the Dawnthorn is the only one equipped with oars.
So,
Which Silas knows all too well. His back muscles instinctively tense up at the sound of oars. Like, oh fuck.
That's a naughty swear word. The word "or," or bench and pull. These are horrible, triggering words. But let's take a few moments to remember that Silas's pecs, back muscles, and arms are ripped.
Yeah.
Yet
he is lean, but there is not an ounce of fat on him. He is ripped. He is a gangly, ripped son of a bitch.
And Satsu, for a few moments, just kind of like, she's sitting down in there in the sun. She kind of like shields her face. She goes, "The sun is not this intense where I come from, nor the islands that we. It's humid, but it's not." She squints her eyes. "May we retire to the shade, or do you have any more questions for me?"
Oh, I do apologize. Yes, of course. Yes, retired to the shade. In fact, he looks around and says, looks at Silas, says, maybe we should set up a bit of canopy over here with some poles, and just a place to sit in the shade for a bit. And I'm gonna start getting the stuff down off of the ship we'll start transferring the stuff from the ship there onto the shore for working this bronze.
All right,
So-
Silas will go about getting poles or bits of, fallen tree limbs or whatever, and get it set up like a makeshift tent / teepee type deal with, palm leaves and stuff over it to get a nice shade going. So that's what he'll do. Yeah, nice big one, so anybody can, rest under it like a community, like a communal little hut thing.
And then
Sorry, go for it, Keith. Sorry.
not too far from there, I'll set up the forge. I'm gonna try to actually forge it up if I can, just within the trees up from the ship, because I don't want any sparks to accidentally fly and maybe catch these ships on fire or anything.
Oh shit! No. Quick question for Grant: Does Rockbeak need to actually sun himself?
He does when he gets a chance to, but it's like a it's something special. It's a treat. If he can, he can. If he has a chance, but if not, then he'll just sun as he goes. But he does like to, lay down and soak it up.
Oh, Kel, you guys are kind of like going over your personal inventory, and you guys are ready to sail on the tide. Like at a moment's notice, you guys are ready. But I mean, you guys have been kind of busting your asses for the past 2 days to do so, and you guys are somewhat enjoying this half of vacation. So Kel just kind of looks over. He goes, Rockbeak,
Yeah.
why don't you go have us a bit of sun, huh?
The sun is looking particularly nice today.
Oh, it's a gorgeous day for it. There's no wind, so, I mean, have yourself some sun. I'll take care of the lads, and once Grim can turn us loose, and then we'll see about running this lot. And he actually kind of like circles his finger around the moon folk that you guys are caring for. Sick and scurvy and malnourished poor bastards that they are. Once we get this lot healthy, we can run them back to the Dark Continent. And yes, I know we just came from there and we're going back.
Hey, I'm not having to deal with no more prissy pants.
No,
one's enough for me.
As soon as we can get them off of the ship, the better. Just have some sun for now.
Well, I'm going to go up on the crow's nest because I ain't seen no nice rock around here. And, I'll keep an eye out, when I'm not sleeping.
Yeah, there you go. Take some grog with you.
Oh, you ain't got to tell me twice. Just grab like a jug. It's a whole jug. As our climbing up to the crow's nest. Very, very gracefully, just not like a fish out of water at all. Him crawling, up this giant mast, with one hand on his thing of grog, and him just gripping, it's very, very graceful. Just it's beautiful.
You kind of get a chuckle from the rest of your crew, like, all right, Rockbeak's getting up there. Don't fall up there, Klutz.
Hey, just because I'm taking a break don't mean I can't whoop your asses. No one told you to stop working. Captain didn't say stop working. Keep going.
Couple of the more higher ranking guys kind of look at the captain like Kel, he purposefully changes his voice, like, oh yeah, it's you're getting a little gray on there. Oh, I'm surprised that rheumatism hasn't found its way into those claws and those ankles of yours.
Hey, you may be captain, but I'm not old enough not to come down there and kick your ass still.
Oh, you have to find me first.
Ain't
Get
that
your
fucking hard, you giant.
Get up there before I run you through, Scales.
He started muttering as he's going up there.
The
like
rest
some of the grog will like spill out. Maybe hit some of the people down there. It's like, oh shit.
That's abuse. Clean that up. Come on now. calls you out for alcohol abuse, spilling all over there. He Kel spies Darius kind of like walking around somewhere. Oh, you boy, come clean up this mess. Rockbeak peed all over the deck. All right, just he goes up. He's like, but Pete, what? He gets him a mop. He gets introduced to Mr. Mop and Mrs. Bucket. Great pals, Mr. Mop and Mrs. Bucket. But as this row begins to die down, Zucchini finally gets done. The bleached flower that she is, she comes into this this shaded canopy, and she sits down next to Satsu, and like with this exasperated, she kind of looks over at Satsu, and she just smiles. They begin chatting in their own language.
Silas will make sure they have fresh water there, and even if they want some grog, he'll make sure they have refreshments, and make sure they're taken care of, and he'll just leave them alone.
Zucchini gives you an exhausted smile. She says thank you, and she kind of like pats your hand before you pull away. Just pats your hand twice.
And Silas will just smile and just do like a little small bow to her. He's gonna miss Zucchini. She was nice, even though he still thinks she's kind of crazy. But I mean, who isn't crazy?
So you guys are kind of like lounging much of that afternoon. Rockbeak up in that crow's nest for a good 6.5, 7 hours, soaking up all that sunlight.
Oh yeah, he's nice, and he's soaked all right, soaked to the gills, basically as it is. He's 5 sheets to the wind here. He is basically he's got one. He's just up there in the crow's nest, basically using like a wash tub. How he's got his feet hanging off. He's like sleeping. He's got the grog jug is hanging on by one claw as he's just sawing. He's just cutting away.
Oh, so lizard folk do actually they do snore, huh? Okay. Or they hiss.
Rockbeak does. You don't know if it's because of his deformity and he doesn't have the right, brachycephalus thing. I don't know. You don't know how his anatomy is with this deformity, but he snores. It sounds god awful. It's like a Skeksis like got shanked or set on fire and they start screaming. It goes really high pitched, like a nasal, like type snore that is very, very pleasant to the ears.
There you go.
And the crew is used to it, so they call it all Rockbeat's like
just white noise by now.
Yeah, it's Rockbeat's ballad. The sound that the first made the music he makes.
When was the last time Rockbeak actually had a day off? Fucking never.
Never, basically. I mean, they've been doing this run for forever. This thing they're doing now that they finally finished, they're going to go right back to another one. So this is like the first time he had R&R in forever. And actually, not sleeping on a stable ship that's not out in the middle of the ocean, rocking back and forth. He can just sit there and just bake.
The one thing that with Kel's crew is interesting, despite the other two crews here, actually in relationship to the other two crews here, Kel pays his people very well. The level of danger that you guys get into, the sailors here are actually very wealthy. They leave the ship in a port with maybe about 20, 30 gold in their pockets to do fuck all with. Rockbeak himself probably has a small coffer of platinum in his cabin. He has no idea what the hell to do with.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he doesn't. He's not a miser. He's not like a Scrooge type deal. But he doesn't. Spend it willy nilly on frivolous things. He does got like a small little hoard going on there that he guards like a fucking dragon.
being a spice smuggler, shit hits the fan real quick, more often than you really want it to be. So there's money involved, and lots of it. With Garanus and his small crew, what happens for the rest of that day? It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The sun probably sets around 8:30, 8:45 in this season, so you've got about a good 8.5 hours. What do you guys do?
Silas is going to help transfer stuff over from the Dawnthorn onto the Moon's Mistress, and also start getting the rooms cleaned up to the best he can. And when the sun starts going down, he's going to go back to the barnacles a little bit. The captain said not to. He's got to get it done because he's will be the first mate, and he's not going to slack. He's not going to expect people to do work that he wouldn't do. So he's just going at it basically, and always from going from ship to ship, he always stops to make sure that Zakiti and her friend are taken care of, and they got everything they need. So
Uranus is gonna, once he gets his smithing stuff out there on the higher beach area, you'll start hearing. It's about 2 o'clock. You'll start hearing his hammer start dropping as he's finishing up and doing the more detailed work on that bit of armor that he was putting together. The last few pieces, setting the last couple of rivets and forging out a little bit of the last few rings and such to attach plates here and there to finish it up. And this isn't the usual, loud, slams of the hammer. This is more of the smaller hammers, the detailed work, the rounding of the edges, and using the even smaller ones with chisels to carve out the designs he's putting into this bit of armor. So he'll probably be doing that for most of the afternoon, sort of keeping an eye on his ship and sort of progress, and every once in a while taking a break and going there and checking on them, making sure that they're getting the work done but not overdoing it. And he'll as he goes by and sees the two menfolk ladies there under the shade, he'll give them a little sort of a knuckle to the head like he would to the captains before when he was just a blacksmith, and sort of smiles as a Zakiti and goes up and gets back to work there. And he'll about sundown he'll cover the armor. I'm going to make a roll for it real quick just to give me an idea of how well it's being crafted here. There's an 8 in there. So that's going to be, with the blacksmithing, that's going to be a 25 on his work for the day. So
I mean, I would think that's pretty good. That sounds pretty good to me.
So yeah, he's gotten some really good detailed work done that day, and he covers it and lets the small fire he had kindled up next in his little portable forge there die off, and goes down for dinner and looks around for Darius because he hasn't seen him in a little bit. He yells out for him, "Darius, where's your scrunny butt at?"
Silas will hear this, and just as he is getting all the crew ready for dinner, getting them all, accounted for, he'll have them, line up on the shore for Garanus's inspection. Everybody's done their work. Nightfall's coming, and the only one that's not there is Darius, and I haven't seen him since he got sent on that chorus line scavenger hunt. I think Kel yelled at him a while ago, but I didn't actually see him. Everyone else is accounted for.
You ever call him saying something about getting some bananas for everybody too? He's not back in the next, the next half hour or so. We might need to put together a search party for him. Make sure he didn't go too far inland.
I don't know what you see in him, Captain. I hope that he grows out of this.
He will eventually. Every young boy needs to have a bit of spine shoved into him occasionally, and he'll come around. So,
well, the rest of the crew is here and accounted for, waiting for your inspection. We've got most of the hull cleared of barnacles, and we've got half the rooms ready. And we almost have everything off the Dawn Thorn.
He looks at the men and he says, "Well, men, you've done a great job so far. We may have ourselves some assistance coming aboard before we leave. The lady pilots over there are going to speak on our behalf to some of the menfolk of their kind and see if they'd be willing to come on as sailors with us. And from what I understand, they're very good sailors. So we may at least have some assistance with the rigging and such once we get out to sea. It won't be just us dozen or so men. We'll have actually hopefully enough to make almost a full crew."
And your full crew, the full complement, would be about 48 to 55 individuals.
Now, or is that just all sailors? Because, I mean, we need to have some people who know how to fight, obviously, which is what Silas was going to get at with the Garanis, because if we have nothing but, sailors who don't know how to fight
that
at
is
all.
Sailors and combatants, yeah.
Okay.
That's
good.
Yes.
That's how many bodies, not who does what. So if you get about 55 people, I suppose your skeleton crew, which you have right now, we have Garanis captain, Silas as first mate. I am having Aethelridge be actually part of your Marines.
Okay.
You have 3 Duskfair folk sailors who can also double as Marines themselves. You have the 3 Arborians that Garanis had chosen, and the 3 Atean sailors that Silas has brought on. So that is 14, 15 guys.
Something like that, yeah.
And then if we have, say, like 20 more would be just requirement for sailors and ship functions. The rest would be your fighting complement.
Okay. Yeah,
and cook and stuff too, right? We have a cook.
Oh yeah.
Does the Moon's mistress have ballista? I mean, obviously, one of the ships did. I don't know.
She has 2 guns, one fore, one aft.
All right.
Okay.
So we have a gunner, obviously, and okay. So we got everything.
We'll get it figured out.
Except for Darius.
Well, Darius
doesn't count. He sucks.
Well, Darius actually has a position on the ship.
He's cabin boy, isn't he?
Yes.
All
He'll be
right.
cabin boy. So, and the 3 Arborians is our I've named them. It's Hisson, Thalen, and Glazell.
There you go.
3 Arborians, and they're 2 men and a woman. And they Glazell also knows how to cook. I'm just going to sort of say that.
Oh, well, then that's perfectly fine then.
She's not she is not necessarily a really good cook.
Oh, but she can feed you.
Yes, but she knows when things are burnt and when they're not.
Oh, is she taking cooking lessons from Bruno right now?
Yes.
Oh, Bruno's a wonderful cook, by the way.
And she knows how to properly cook pork.
Oh,
well, so you don't poison the men.
She won't burn the pickled eggs, right?
Right. They'll burn the pickled eggs. So, or the ham and the bacon. So.
All right.
Okay. But yeah, he sits there for a moment and looks around. He's like, I'm really starting to get a little worried about Darius. I mean, yeah, he could be just taking a nap under a tree and doesn't realize it's dark yet. But I think we should get ourselves a complement of a couple of guys and go look for him real quick. Silas, what do you think?
I'll do it. You ain't gotta worry about it, Captain.
I think I want to go with you. Just going to safe side. He looks over and says, "Hey, Hisson, take over here for us." So just make sure the men get fed and don't get too drunk.
Aye, Cap.
We'll be right back. So.
Grimnir sends Brahm with you.
Okay. So,
I swear, Captain, if he's sitting there under a tree
I'll kill him
Oh.
myself, says Brahm.
with half-eaten
well.
bananas all around him.
well, we'll string him up. Don't worry. So we'll find a way to make him work off his laziness. So yeah, we'll head up that way, I guess.
It doesn't take you very long to find him. I mean, he's about a 16th of a mile
Mhm.
inland in a palm grove. He's fucking lost.
Okay.
The two guys that he brought with him left him there. Yeah, so
Wow.
he's like stumbling around in the dark, like half startled when he sees you guys. Oh, Captain! Oh, I'm so sorry. I got lost in the palms. They all look alike, and there's no damn moon I can find to come back.
Mm-hmm. So you couldn't follow the sound of work. Oh, that's right. You're repelled by that, right? he looks at him and gives a little chuckle. He says, "Well, did you find the chorus line for me yet?"
There's not an inch of chorus line on this damn island, Captain.
Well, he looks at Brahm and says,
Hey, Brahm
tell you-
he pinches his nose, very, very annoyed.
he looks back at Darius and he says, "Well, I guess we'll just have to do without. I guess it'd be a little more work for you." So,
Yeah.
but, oh well, it would have been so much easier if you just found that chorus line. But did you at least
I'm
get some
sorry,
bananas?
He just kind of he turns to the side and shows you this actually a rather nice mountain of bananas there, bananas, plantains, and a few coconuts in there.
All right, not bad, boy, not bad. Make
At
a
least he's
forager out
partially
of you yet.
useful.
Yeah, feed some people. Well, gather as much as you can. He goes over and gets a big armful and motions for Silas to come over to the same and says, "Brahm, if you'd be so kind."
Yeah, he pulls out like a rope net sack and just starts stuffing shit into it.
We're
Okay.
doing your job for you again, Darius. You're going to pull double time tomorrow. Barnacles ain't going to peel themselves off the hole.
I'm sorry. I won't do it. I won't do it again. You kind of like you're not sure if he's being just shitty fucking kid or not, but he kind of has a little bit of like sincerity in the tone of his voice. It's like this island is kind of scary at night. I'm not he just kind of just like lets it die there. He doesn't finish his sentence. Like, I'm in trouble. It's fine.
The only thing you need to worry about is the captain. He's the scariest thing you're going to see out here.
Granus puts his hand on Darius' shoulder and he says, "Tell you one thing, boy. You may not have found any of that chorus line, but you didn't quit. You kept looking. And sometimes that's the best thing you can do in life is just not quit." Okay.
I think he earned a banana, Captain.
I think he did too. But not till we get back to the ship. Make sure we carry these things back there first. Make sure everybody else gets fed too.
You'll have yours after everyone else has theirs.
It's okay. He can have one when he gets back over there. I understand Silas. You know, he looks over at Silas, sort of winks at him. He says, "But the lad does deserve at least a little bit of some kind of a reward because he did find all this.
He did do his job, so yes.
Mm-hmm. So
Don't get used to it, Darius. If the captain treated everybody for doing their job, he'd be broke.
That's true. But you'll definitely earn your keep. At least for today you have. Tomorrow we'll see. So he lugs his stuff back out to the beach there, and make sure some of it gets distributed among the men today, especially the bananas, because everybody knows we're working long and hard during the day, and sweating bananas are one of the best things you can have to make sure a person doesn't, wind up getting cramps in the middle of the night and waking up.
Yeah, I'll make sure to get some of the ripest, nicest looking ones and give to Zakidi and the other seer. Make sure they have some bananas.
When you guys are kind of like trudging through that palm grove, you guys actually, you know what? First roll of the night, awareness tests, please.
Awareness it is. Let me see. That's going to be a 12 for me.
Nice.
That's a 15 for me.
It's close in the middle of the night by now. It took you a little while to find Darius, but close to about 11 o'clock.
Okay.
You're about halfway home. Thank the gods, the wind picked up.
All right.
It's cool. There's a storm somewhere in the east. You have no idea where, but it feels good. And Brahm being silent this entire time. He goes, Darius. He just lets it hang there. The boy looks up at him. He's on the the eye patch side. You have any tattoos, boy? He goes, no, I never had the opportunity to get any tattoos. He kind of looks over at Garanus. With a look in his eye like, bear with me here.
Okay, Garanus nods.
I think I'm going to give you a tattoo before you leave, huh? He's asking Darius a question, but he's looking at Garanus, mostly asking the captain for permission.
And Garanus says over Darius's head, yeah, that would probably be a good idea. He needs a bit of something there on him to proclaim what he's that he's a sailor. He's a man among men.
I think we should brand the moon's mistress right on his forehead so everyone knows where he belongs to.
Oh no, that'd be too cruel there, Silas.
Not on his forehead.
Not on his forehead. Now across his back.
Silas just chuckle and smirk at him.
He gets a little scared of Prospect having a fucking hot iron on his forehead, but yeah, Brahm almost like pushes him into a bunch of tongue grasping. No, not on your forehead. He like barely catches himself on a palm tree. He part leaves. He gets his footing again. How many cycles old are you, boy? It's like well, what day is it? Brahm takes a few moments. It's the third mandrake of the 11th month. And he goes, well, if it's the third week of the 11th month of this cycle, then I am 16 cycles old 2 months ago.
Mm.
And then Brahm goes, you are 2 months due for a tattoo. I got my first tattoo when I was 16 cycles. Silas, when did you get your first tattoo?
I got my first tattoo when I was 12 cycles after I killed my first man.
Oh, 12! Oh, so young. Oh, Captain, when did you get your first tattoo?
We don't have tattoos in Arborea, but I got my first scar. He motions to his shoulder.
Counts.
My first scar at the ripe young age of 10 cycles old. I missed a boar with a spear. My father took us hunting. And the way we hunt boar in Arborea, they're big. They're big bastards too, with long tusks. It was in the it was in the waning time, the waning days before harvest, and the nights had become cool, but the days were still quite warm, and the trees were the colors were shifting from the bright greens more to the reds and the browns and the golds of the fall months. And
is that what your people call autumn?
Yes, autumn. It's
We
this
don't
time of
have
the year.
that where we come from. He looks over at Silas. We don't have changing trees.
Mm. It's a beautiful sight, I'll tell you. It's like the silent monolith is out there painting in different beautiful hues all across the mountains everywhere you look as the nights get longer and colder. But I was 10 cycles old, and I was just strong enough to lift my father's boar spear, and it stands almost twice the height of a grown man. And he took me out in the forest with some of the other hunting parties, and they were young boys of my age, maybe a few years older. And we were told to set along this game trail and point the spear forward. And if the boar came along, we pointed at its chest because it's going to charge us. Well, then the men went and circled around and started beating the brush and sending all manner of beasts our way. Deer flew through the area, rabbits, even saw a couple of wolves dart by. And then I heard the boar come roaring through the brush. And he came out of the path and saw me, and his little beady eyes focused on me between those big, massive tusks. And I did what my father told me. I braced the spear against the tree, and I leveled it at this thing's chest. But my little arms could barely hold this thing up, and the tip dipped a little bit. And when the boar hit it, instead of driving deep into its chest, it just carved a great gash along its belly, emptying its entrails out along the way. But it got past the tip of my spear, and its tusk gouged my arm here. And it did die shortly after that. I pulled my knife out and stabbed it in the throat and killed the thing, more out of pity than anything else, and fear. But that was my first tattoo, I guess you would say.
Brom nods like, oh yeah, we Italians, we tattoo each other. Really, he looks over at Silas and I really often as we can. Normally on the annual remembering of a thing, or I suppose when we become old enough, we get another tattoo. And I mean, Brom is covered in ink. He's got more ink than skin.
Yeah, Silas's upper body is basically it's tattoos, hieroglyphics, and what looks like tally marks down both his arms onto his hands.
He looks down at Darius. He said, "Don't worry, Darius. I'll make you something pretty, something fearsome. Hopefully that'll shape your shit up." And he pushes him again into the tall grass, a little bit more playfully this time, as you guys enter the torchlight.
I look over at Brom and say, maybe you could tattoo a bit of chorus line on his arm so he'll know what it looks like next time.
Oh, that's a good one. He laughs. He
Also,
I'll go for him.
if you flinch or cry during your first tattooing, the women will think your manhood is very small. It is a bad omen.
He just Darius like, oh god, oh. And Brahma he kind of like puts him in a headlock, and he kind of points over to Zakiti. He goes, "I'll tell Zakiti you're getting a tattoo, and I'll make her watch, so you can't cry." He kind of like dunks him into the sand, like pushes him over. He's trying to toughen the kid up and giving him some tough love. Like, oh, don't tell Zakiti I'm getting a tattoo.
Oh, I'm sure she'll be very interested in that.
I'll put a flower on there for you.
There you go. Yeah, that's big flower. So nice and big.
You have to show these new moonfolk women how tough you are. You can't look like a weakling in front of them.
That's true.
You know, Zakiti puts flowers in her hair whenever she can. Oh, yeah, I get you a flower that looks like Zakiti's flowers you put in her hair.
You can tattoo it on his hairline like it's sticking out of his hair.
Yeah.
What is you, Silas? What is with you with wanting him to tattoo his boy's head in some way? I don't see.
He won't be
I don't
able
see
to
any of
hide
those.
it.
I don't think he'd want to. I mean, he'd be carrying it proudly.
Most people would, but it's Darius we're talking about here.
You know.
Most people would do their job. He just looks at Darius with basically looked at Darius, looked down at his cut up hands, from working on getting those barnacles off. I'm like, you son of a bitch, I would go gather some fucking bananas, basically.
And Darius just he gets real fucking small. He looks at his bare feet. I'm sorry, I got lost. And Brahm is like, he picks him up from the sand. He kind of looks like he's gonna slap the hell out of him, but he kind of like Brahm very very infrequently gets a soft spot about him. He's like, all right, I may beat on you, but it's only because you deserve it. Let me show you a secret here. Now, you see where we are. You see the campfire light. Listen. You hear it on the wind. So it's like distant conversations and whispers. You hear that? And Darius just kind of listens. He says, yeah. I'm going to fucking teach you something, boy. If you're out there in the palms and there's no wind, that sort of sound travels for miles. And I can tell you from experience, I can light a candle and then put it on a plank and then let it drift for miles, and I can still see that light miles away, even without a moon. What you have to do is just slow down and listen. Smell the smoke on the fire. You can smell the pig roasting, right? Oh, yeah. Yeah. He just kind of pokes him in the forehead. Use this fucking thing. Use that, and you'll be fine. We won't let anything happen to you. And Brahm just kind of, he kind of walks off, half walks off. He kind of looks over his shoulder and goes to Garanus. He goes, well, if you want, I can show you how to read our hieroglyphics again. It's all the captains, well, those who sail with Grim and Kell, we all are supposed to read Atean hieroglyphics because, as you can see and tell, there's not much of us around. So our stores are very coded. If you want to stay up tonight, I'll show you how to do that.
Appreciate that. So look over at Silas and say, make sure Darius actually gets a good meal. I don't think he's actually had anything to eat all day, unless he's been grazing in the process. He sort of looks over at him.
He shakes his head no. I've been trying to find the course line and
if you want,
food.
Captain, I can cut him open to see exactly what he's eating.
Oh, no, you don't have to do that, Silas.
All right, come on, Darius.
All right, Garanus will go off to the side there with Brahm and sort of gather a bit of the roasted pork and whatever they have beside it. If they have like a bowl of barnacle stew or something like that along with it, he'll sit down and give himself a good meal into him while he's trying to learn these weird, archaic, weird symbols that the Ateans use for everything.
Between Bruna and the other two cooks, you guys actually have a very nice feast here between fruit, boar, any shellfish and or fish got caught that day. So you guys can actually kind of pick out and party and probably pass out full of grog and food on the beach. But how late do you go into the evening trying to learn these strange characters?
Well, I'll give it a couple of hours, sort of get like a beginning understanding of it. But at some point, I'll look over at Brom and say, we need to get some sleep tonight because we have more hard work to do tomorrow.
Of course.
And I've got to finish up the Zakidi's armor. I think Silas will probably have the ship scoured, hopefully by high tide. We can get this boat floated, or a ship floated. So,
Let's see it done. He leaves his materials on your desk in your cabin.
okay.
And he retires to his ship.
And
Silas will also, after he got Darius's food and everything, he'll make sure everybody, has their fun, doesn't get too drunk off grog, and he'll make sure that everybody is lights out. All the at probably maybe 1 a.m. something around there. He'll have all the sailors die down and get some nice sleep for tomorrow. He'll make sure nobody's out drinking too much grog or off partying when they're not supposed to. He'll make sure everybody is tucked in.
Yeah, Garanus will check off his boots and roll up into his hammock in his cabin and let himself drift off to sleep, which probably won't take very long because he's been pretty busy that day.
Yeah, you guys are kind of busting your ass all day.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
To your surprise, you guys, well, not surprising, you guys enter the land of Morpheus very easily and have vivid, not fitful dreams, but vivid, exhausted dreams of what possibly could come. And there's maybe a little bit of new ship, new crew, new responsibilities, jitters before you fall asleep. But once you do, out. Now, to your surprise, Darius is up before dawn, and he's been in Silas's cabin. You awake to the thunking and scraping on the outside hull of your cabin.
Well, Silas he'll wake up and he'll first, he'll be like, that split second of holy shit, somebody fucking woke me up, I'm pissed. But at the same time, he'll hear what's going on there, and he'll just smile.
Funk, scrape.
All right. You're learning, kid. You're learning. And he'll haul himself up and start getting to work. He don't want to be showing up and outshined by this this greenhorn here. So he gets to it.
Yeah, Granus will wake up and play with that noise too, and pull himself out of bed, pull the boots that are probably crusted with salt and sand on, and shake them off, and thinks to himself, "I'm gonna have to. No, you know what? I'm not going to worry about it." He takes the boots off and throws them into a corner. Goes out barefoot and goes up on deck. Dips his or tosses a bit of seawater over his head to wake him up and sort of wash away the night sense of the sweat and such of sleeping inside an enclosed area in a tropical world. And he goes up, nods to Silas, notices that Darius is out there. He leans over to Silas and says, "Was he the one I heard earlier?"
That's right, Captain. It seems you did put the fear of hard work into him after all.
I think you get a little bit of that yourself. So I told you he'd come around.
We'll see. The day is young.
So Garanus walks up the beach and goes up and starts firing up his forge to finish up this armor today. It should just take him a little while today to finish it off.
Yep, and Silas will go and join Darius over there, get this hole scoured before high tide to get it all done. And put the elbow grease into it and start working.
So you spend much of that day finishing up that job. And Darius, more or less, has kind of a red-headed hair up his ass. And he's got a surprising work ethic when he actually puts his mind to it. And Brahm, sometime after lunch, comes by with a leather-wrapped kit and a couple needles between his fingers, and a small earthenware jar of charcoal and soot. He's like, "All right, Darius, it's time for you to get your first tattoo, boy." And a bunch of other Corsairs, like meerkats, they all perk up like, "Oh, first tattoo? What?" So quickly, you've got about 60 people in a circle.
Oh yeah, I any of the sailors on the that are helping clean off the ship there, I'm gonna wave them over, make sure they're all there to witness this. So and he'll Granus will actually go up on the deck of the ship and sort of at one of the points where the railing opens up to bring on cargo. He'll perch up there with a jug of water, maybe a little bit of grog in there just to make sure that the water's not gone bad.
It's clean.
And he'll sit there and he'll sip on that, eat a banana, and watch this whole thing from higher up.
Oh yeah, you've got a great view as they're almost directly below you, and you got a mob. The other two captains are there, and of course, a couple of the moon folk, your seers, are there just looking on, and Brahm just kind of like, "All right, this is gonna tickle, so no laughing. This is a serious matter." And he kind of like shoots a look over at Silas and Atayan. He goes, "You want to do the honors of holding this brat down?"
Silas will just walk over without saying anything, and he will restrain Darius.
How do you restrain him? Like
It gets him from behind like a bear hug, basically. He's like, just don't move. The more you move, the worse it's gonna be.
like, oh. He looks up and Garana's like, "Oh, where do we want it, Cap?"
Right there on the boy's chest, right above his heart.
Oh, in the middle. He's like pokes him with his, the middle, over his heart, or left or right side. Oh, where do we want it?
Right there over his heart. Right over his heart.
Oh yeah. Like, hold him fast here. Like,
Silas will grab both his arms and like hold him behind his back a little bit and just don't move now.
Darius looks suitably terrified. He really does. And a couple of the other Corsairs are cheering at him.
Someone get the boy a strip of leather to bite on, too.
Do you want the leather, Darius? That's cowards now. Real men don't need the leather. Silas will just smirk at him.
He looks over at Brahm. He goes, do Atayans need something to bite on? And it just Brahm goes, "Oh no. Of course, no. He looks up at Grant. "No, Cap, no, we don't, no."
Uranus motions down and says, "Then go ahead. If he doesn't need it, he doesn't need it." So,
and Captain Grimnir from the side goes, "What is the flag of the Moon's Maiden?" Oh wait, no, Keith actually stepped away for a few moments. Oh damn. Okay. Well, so no, next year here, they'll jeer some more at him and goes, "Silas, put a big flower on him. Say like he loves his mom or something with a big heart."
Well, you heard Captain Grim here, Brahm. Big old giant flower.
Bro, he's a flower.
And I think it should say Mama's boy.
Oh no, Darius like, no, I don't know, no, not that. Please,
Maybe
no.
a heart in there somewhere.
Oh yeah, big heart. You
Yeah,
think Silas? That'd be big, nice big heart with a
yeah.
bit
Ladies
of
will love it.
cloth. Yeah. Maybe if he get his pecs get big enough, he kind of like scoops him a little bit. Yeah, if he develops there, maybe he'll make the heart dance for the ladies. How about that?
Yeah, yeah. You like that, don't you, Darius? That sounds good.
I don't know. I don't know if flower is appropriate. Is a flower manly? He's
Oh,
very naive and stupid.
well, look at all these beautiful women. They like flowers, and if you have a flower on you, and then by default they should like you, right?
He kind of shoots a look over at Zakiti a little bit, and Zakiti's in on the farce. She just kind of like winks and does like, thumbs up. So he's like, well, I don't know. And Brahm is very slowly, very menacingly getting the charcoal and the needles out. And Graham just was like, all right, before we start to maim the boy, Captain Garanus,
Yes, sir, Captain Grimnir.
what is the flag of the Moon's Mistress?
The flag of the Moon's Mistress. Let's
What
see.
would be on that black flag?
Well, I think there should be a tree because being Arborean and it's on my shield.
Oh yeah. A
And
big tree.
I think the tree should have a grinning skull in the front because, it should be a bit terrifying.
How about a flowering tree?
That would be good. A flowering tree with a big skull, like right in the middle of where the boughs spread.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna put on this little brat. Yeah, and he goes at it with gusto, and Brahm, being the excellent inker that he is, he sets to work putting up this ship's heraldry.
Silas will just keep, pep talking like just keep looking at Zakiti, right? It's all for her, right? I know how you look at her. Come on, you're being a man now. Yeah. You were a boy, now you're reborn.
He kind of gets a little teary eyed as that needle starts pricking him, and Brahm's pretty fucking quick, like sewing machine. He's getting it on there, clink 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 clink.
Those
clink.
aren't tears, are they? You don't want to cry in front of all the men.
No.
That's just sweat, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I got something in my eye.
He's just got some sand in his eyes, everyone. And Silas just smiled at him.
And Brahm just for a moment, he takes a pause. He can get some right and wipes a bunch of blood away. He goes, "Quit your crying." He pokes him right in the fucking eye. I give you something to cry about. He goes back to it. Click.
That's how you lost your eye, Brahm. Now we all know.
He just he gets along with the laugh, and he's like, "Oh no, nah, I'll tell you the story sometime later." Click. He cuts him open a little bit. Oh shit! Well, quit moving, damn it! He smacks him upside the head. Otherwise, this shit won't happen. You won't be bleeding here. Come on now. And the whole mob is just cheering and jeering at him. He goes, "When's his facial hair gonna come in? You gotta grow a beard now, Darius. You're not a boy anymore." And Kel comes over and he grabs him by his jaw, makes him look at it. He goes, "Oh, no, you can't shave anymore. You throw your knife away. You're not allowed."
Out of the crowd, you hear, "I don't think he shaved in the first place."
No, yeah. Cal just turns around. Oh, yeah, no, of course he didn't. Look at him.
Smooth as a baby's arse.
No. Cal runs his knuckle along his jawbone and over his lip, trying to find some kind of like scratch, some kind of like peach fuzz. Hey, you have nothing, are you? Oh, you must have Fae in your ancestry then. You don't have any facial hair. he just kind of like mushes his face a little bit and walks on. Garanus, you're gonna have to pull this boy's head from his ass for months until you turn him into a man.
I don't know. He did pretty good last night. Most of that fruit and such you guys were enjoying this morning for breakfast, he brought in by himself.
Oh, it's good he's useful then, and he deserves his first tattoo. Another hour and a half of this.
Silas will look up at the captain like, okay, yeah, he get it all by himself, and then
All by himself.
Silas he'll just look at the captain, and then he'll just he'll get some salt water, to wash away the excess ink and some of the blood, so that Brom has a nice canvas to work on. Nice salt water hitting him.
Ooh, yum. Ooh, that stings. A good hour and a half of that. Brom's done. And he, with his tattooing, he actually got a good 22 on that roll here. He likes a really, really nice tattoo.
Yeah. Very nice. Now, Garanus yells down to him, if you keep doing the way you're doing now and doing a good job, one of these days you might be able to aspire yourself even as high as a third mate or so, maybe a second mate on this ship or some other. But you keep slacking off, I'm going to use you as the flag.
He just kind of like, oh, all right. He just kind of like, he's looking at his new tattoo now, and it's sore. It's still bleeding. He's got ink everywhere.
Silas will just pat him on the shoulder and is like, yeah, well, that's if you live that long. If you don't take care of that, it'll get infected and rot you from the inside out. He just pats him on the back and just walks off, leaves him with that.
And Brom just points at the rest of the ship and the barnacles that still need yet to be cleaned. He goes, all right, back to work, you.
Yeah, back at it, boys. We can't be here all cycle.
Silas, well, you heard the captain. Everyone back to work. These barnacles are not going to detach themselves from our beautiful ship. We need to force them.
A few moments later, Brom is up on the deck with Garanus. He goes, I think that's probably one of my better tattoos.
It's good from up here, I'll tell you that much. It's quite pretty.
Well, I think we should probably tattoo everybody with that.
I think so too.
Anyone who sails under you? Well,
I think
I'm done with all my chores on the Dawnthorn, and Grim sent me over here to help you. If you want me to ink everybody up, I'll ink everybody up.
I think you should. He turns and looks at him and says, but make sure it's on an arm and make sure it's smaller than his. I want him to have the biggest tattoo of the bunch.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So now one day he can tell that story about how when the Moon's mistress first set sail, he had the largest tattoo of anyone on the ship. So I guess yeah. I guess it's time for my first one, huh?
Yeah, your first tattoo.
All right. He makes his way down off the ship and goes over and sits where the kit and stuff was, and finds a bucket, sets down, and
where are you on it, Cap?
Right here on the left arm. I don't want on the right arm, more on the left arm. So
is that the shield arm or is the sword arm?
That's the sword arm for us Arborians. If you put on the shield arm, you can't see it when we're in battle.
All right. Oh, put on the left arm. There we go.
Okay. So he sits there and gives himself a bit of pork to eat while this is going on.
Brom actually sits down on a stool nearby, and he, as he's kind of cleaning his needle, and he goes, well, with you Arborians, I'm actually going to need a knife as opposed to a needle.
Oh, I know.
This is going to hurt.
Oh, I know.
Grim has several tattoos, and I've had to cut him plenty.
Yes. I've seen them.
I'm not good with Arborian skin.
Well, do you need someone else to do it?
No.
I can ask, He sort of gives him a grin. I can handle it.
All right. And we're not. I'm not. He doesn't even ask you if you
Yeah.
need a strip of leather or not.
Yeah. He just says, just put it below the scar from the boar tusk.
Oh yeah, Silas, you want in on this? Well, no, you're gonna have to be in on this. Come on now.
He just looks back from cleaning the hole.
But
And
come over here in the shade. Have a drink. You're next.
all right, he'll throw down his tools. Like, everyone, keep working. He'll go over there and sit in the shade and get him a nice drink, cool water. And then he'll sit down.
Brom basically turns that little canopy open tent into kind of a tattoo salon there for a few, or actually most of the day. And let me see if I can actually. Oh shit! Actually, Brom does a really good job with Garanus's tattoo. He does cut you a little bit, so you bleed a little bit, but he doesn't overcompensate. You don't bleed nearly as much as he as Darius was bleed. He's a little rough on Darius, probably for his own good anyway. But and it takes about an hour to do that whole tattoo, and he turns you loose after that. Your arm is sore, obviously, and he kind of shouts to the rest of the people on your guys' side of the island. If anyone who would serve on the Moon's Mistress, get in fucking line. Everyone's getting tattoos. And it's a good 30 people. Most of them are actually moonfolk, actually. Queue up. Silas is next, and he's hammering out these shoulder tattoos all day.
I look over at Silas after I get up. I said, once you're done, get a list of names. This is a good way for us to get our crew roster.
All right, Captain. If they get a tattoo, they put the name down.
Yep. Have them put their mark and ask their name and make sure that if they can't write, one of us writes for them. So,
Satsu actually came over before her mob of moonfolk came, and she goes, I've spoken with these gentlemen here, and they would like to sail underneath you.
look them up and down, sort of assess their level of health, and
these are the healthiest of the sailors.
I say they're very welcome on the Moon's Mistress. So I look over at them and said, "Thank you for blessing our ship with your steady hands and keen eyes. And come over and get your mark on you." And he goes over and uncovers Zakiti's armor and instead starts doing some polishing to finish it up, make sure it's good and presentable. So,
that should be ready by the end of the day. You can add 30 more moonfolk sailors and marines to your ship. Keith, I'm basically having you be responsible for everything on your ship now. You still need a quartermaster yet, and Zakiti is still looking for a seer for you.
And Silas will have basically a piece of like bleached wood or something. They will get a knife and they'll carve their name in it, and they'll sign their signature. They'll put their mark down. If they get a tattoo, the name's on it.
All right. Brom doesn't get to work with a moonfolk skin very often, as they're actually rather pale, and the ink takes to them actually very nicely. It's very it very much makes the tattoo on them. If he uses black, it makes it pop on their skins. Actually, very, very, very attractive on that bicep. And as soon as Brom is done tattooing them up, he sends them to work on the ship. So around about dusk that day, it is now the 7th, 8th day. You guys have been there for a chain now.
Yep.
The ship should be ready by the day after tomorrow.
Well, with that, then that evening, as we're all settling in for our evening meals, at the end of the day, he's going to Grounds will take a bundle over toward where the Dawnthorn's crew are, and he'll ask, "Where's Zakides? Has herself up at the moment?"
She is mingling with the other moon folk, most of the women that have been rescued. And Grim is kind of like half supervising that whole thing. They're sitting in like a group of girls in the shade.
Okay.
They're just chatting.
In that case, Grouse will walk up there and stop just a little ways away, and he'll call out to her, to Zakidi, or "Do you have a moment?"
Oh, she hops up. She comes over.
Just,
Big
okay.
smile on her face.
He says, "Oh, no, stay there." And he sort of gingerly sort of makes his way over among the young ladies, and they probably sort of clear a little space in front of it there. And he goes down on one knee and he says, "Thank you very much for getting us through to where we were and for all the work you're doing for me and mine. And I want to present you with this." And he lays the bundle down and opens it up, and it's a full set size for her bronze armor. The shoulder pauldrons actually have dolphins dancing among waves carved into them on the front and the back, and it has a helm that goes along with it that's open to the front so she can see out. Doesn't just obscure her face at all, but the crest has a dolphin sort of swimming up from a flange in the back up over the top of the head and up with a spray of like a bronze, almost like a crest of a bronze water spraying up from the dolphin's mouth. So he said, "This is for you. I want to."
She is speechless, actually. You have very much caught her dumbfounded there. She's kind of looking down at your craftsmanship, and she kind of like runs her hand like over like the coat of it with her fingertips, and she just kind of looks up at you. She goes, "May I accept this?"
Oh yeah, I mean, yes.
This
is for you. Yes.
She kind of like picks it up, like she like the whole thing, like she like sets it in her lap, and she's kind of like playing with it.
I can show you how to don it if you'd like, real quick, so you can see how it fits.
She'll
Okay.
she's got to change into like a different shirt because that's not going to go over well on her over her kimono, or excuse me, her yukata. But yeah, she'll change and then try the armor on.
Okay. I'll show her how to fasten the straps and such, and tell her she may need a little bit of help because they're under the arms on each side, and then how it straps to the arms as well, so that she how to secure it. And then put the helm on her and step back, and there we are, the warrior, the warrior lady from the moon.
And Grim kind of he's walking by, and he stops, he smiles, and he walks over. And like, "This is what you've been slaving over."
Yes.
She strikes a fine and imposing figure in such a suit of armor.
Oh, I'd be quaking in my boots if I saw her across the battlefield from me in this.
He walks over to her, and he kind of like with his knuckles on her on one of her pauldrons there, and he's just like, "Huh." He kind of like grabs the each side of her, like the coat, like where the breastplate would be, and he kind of like sets it on her. And he moves her around, circles around her for a minute. This is excellent work, Uranus.
Thank you, Grimnir. It's gonna be my last piece for a while. Well, other than the piece I promised to hammer out for Silas, but it won't be nearly as pretty as this.
Oh, Silas doesn't need to be pretty; it just needs to be scary.
Yes, it'll be scary. So, but this I felt something beautiful befitted such a beautiful young lady.
Oh, she blushes. She blushes at that. And she kind of like turns to the rest of the ladies, and they kind of like ooh and awe at it. And Grim, he kind of looks at her. And he says, he gets her attention in her language, and then he switches to Feywise. Yeah, you probably should want to take that off now before you die a heat stroke, girl. It's a little hot for that these days.
Definitely don't wear it all the time, but
No.
if you ever think that you're in danger, you can definitely put that on, and it should protect you from most dangers, most weapons at least. So
she quick like skips off to go take her armor off in her room. Grim just kind of nods and she goes, good job, mate.
well, she deserved it. So
Oh yeah.
that was my thank you. And there's many times her visions kept us safe, kept us steered around storms, found the right path, places to go. So least I could do.
We should be ready to go. I think we should hit Sir Kelsa before we move on.
I agree. I'd probably need to look and see what kind of stores I have as far as coinage goes, and decide if I need to put on more supplies there or not.
Oh, that'd be the best place that we can resupply then.
So
few more days. We'll be out on the water and we'll be moving. We're still towing the wrecked Tyrannian. Hopefully we can get it repaired, and then we're going to sell it and split it between the three crews. Once we've done that and we found you a seer, we'll actually part our ways and then go about what we were originally planning on doing. Kill will be going back to smuggling. I will be liberating more moonfolk, and you, well, that'll be up to you. But we'll be in this part of the world.
I think I might try my hand at some trade. Up and down the coast, may go over and visit the homelands of Silas's people. Do some runs back up to Feldport. So you may even see some places I've never seen before.
I'm sure you will. With that, we will close the scene here. How about we take a good 10-minute break here, and then we'll be right back.
All right. See you in a few.
All right. All right, are we back now?
Yep.
You're muted, Keith.
Sorry, yeah, I am back. Yes.
All right, so let me change our banner here. Schwack! Oh, the tide. Look at that. High tide, low
Yay.
tide. We just have tide.
Mm-hmm. Crimson Tide, Roll Tide,
Tide Pods.
Tide Pods.
Don't eat those. Don't eat Tide Pods. I don't care if they look tasty. Don't fucking eat them. Anyway,
That's
back
true.
in character.
Mhm.
As you guys were, what are you guys doing?
Well, of course, the main goal is going to be get the ship ready to go and get all the stores on board and everything we've off shipped to clean it back on board the ship the next day and get the ship actually floated back out into the water so that we can actually be prepared to leave on the next day as Grimnir had suggested we do. So yeah, the next day is going to be after Zakiti's presentation and all that, and we have our dinner that night. We'll be next day's meal. Actually, it won't be necessarily the longest day for us because it's getting back to the kind of things we would normally be doing on ship, but it's also going to be sort of getting the crew settled in and working with each other and familiar with the rigging of the ship and things like that. So, yeah, a bit of a bustle.
Yeah, crunch time now. Now, so once you've done gifting Zakiti with her new armor there, she goes back to chatting with the gals. Satsu goes to join them as well. So they've got kind of a little moonfolk bouquet of flowers there sitting in the shade. While the rest of the Corsairs are going about their days, getting ready. Rockbeak, well, I don't know. Is he still up there sleeping? Son, no one has called you down. No one has said anything. I mean, he probably comes down to relieve himself and goes right the fuck back up there with a new keg of grog.
Yeah, I mean, Kel told him to, take a break, and Kel didn't tell him, to stop taking a break. So,
he's clocked out.
Yeah, he is. He has been sunning, a lot. So he is nice and crispy, and very pickled, full of grog. And he'll keep doing it until Kel tells him it's time to go. I mean, he's on vacation. He's going to, soak up every second of it. So.
He said that Uranus is going to say he's going to be busy himself with getting everything stowed properly, and he may actually ask for some assistance from Brahm as far as suggestions on where to stow stuff, how to balance the ship out as far as cargo goes and things like that. Some of the things that he understands, but he is not necessarily an expert at yet.
Oh yeah, Brahm is more than willing to help out with that. Brahm is kind of a hand-holdy sort of teacher. It's not because he's being a patronizing asshole. It's just that's just the way he is.
Yeah.
But he is a very thorough instructor. If nothing else, he's very thorough. It's like, no, coal goes here, salt goes here. This is the difference between coal and salt. Your lumber goes over here. And he kind of shows you what the Italian version of feng shui would be when it comes to cargo on a ship. Everything has its place.
All right. And so he'll also make sure Silas is here watching this whole process too, because he's going to need to know how to set up as well.
Oh, he's there, and he's taking mental notes, and He also has to get the kitchen set up and get all the cooks' utensils and everything delivered in there. And he also has to get the crew's their sleeping quarters all divvied out and make sure that the best room that we can have is saved for when we do eventually get to see her, hopefully. And so he's
makes that set aside. If I'm not mistaken, I believe on the deck where the captain's quarters are, if I'm remembering how these dowels are set up, you have the captain's quarters in the very, very back, and then you have basically a hallway leading from the captain's quarter out to the main deck.
Oh yeah.
And then to each side, you have, I believe, 2 cabins to each side. There's 2 larger cabins and 2 smaller cabins. So one of those larger cabins would definitely be the one that would be set aside for the pilot. And then I would tell Silas, you need to be in the other one because we need to be close. So.
And you've noticed that between those 3 largest rooms, the walls are paper thin. So if
Yes.
something were to happen, someone needs to shout or yell. Oh well, shit! You're gonna hear them.
Oh yeah, that's the whole idea. Is you want to keep the command crew right there together. We'll have to probably talk quite regularly about where we're going to go and whatnot. So, and Eileen, as this whole thing's being set up, I say, look to Silas and say, have you thought about the quartermaster yet?
Yeah, you still need one of those.
I honestly haven't given it much thought. I've been preoccupied, but I will keep an eye on who I think should be the quartermaster.
Well, I would suggest what you might want to do is, because we want the crew to vote on the quartermaster. They have to have faith in the quartermaster, not just be someone that the captain's. The quartermaster basically is the representative to us from the crew. Is the way it's supposed to be. And they'll be sitting in on our meetings and things like that. They're also the ones who pay the crew. So the crew wants to make sure the quartermaster is on their side. But it's a good idea to give the crew the idea of who we think a good quartermaster would be. So if you were to pick somebody out and sort of start talking them up and ask members of the crew what they think of that individual and such, and they put that person's idea in mind. So.
All right, Captain. I will set this task. We'll have a quartermaster before long.
And then today, once we get everything on here, I want to do some drills of running the sails at the masts, taking them down quickly, and all of the other tasks we'll need to be able to basically do by almost with our eyes closed. In some cases, if it's in the night and we're in a storm, it'll be as if our eyes are closed. So,
all right, I will have the crew get ready.
All right. I'll begin here counting coinage for now. See how much what our stores actually. I'll let you know about that as well. If you want to come behind me and count as well, that'll be acceptable too.
I trust you, Captain.
Oh, I know, but it's not a matter of you trusting me. It's a matter of I want the crew to see that you're actually verifying me in this situation. I want them to see that yes, we may trust each other, but at the same time, trust isn't blind.
I understand. I'll double check your counting and your work, and I may have something in mind for the quartermaster.
Okay.
And I will send my feelers out to see what the crew thinks.
All right.
I will make sure that they will be ready for a drill. I won't tell them when, but I will let them know to be ready.
Just have them getting familiar with it and make sure that the sails and such are actually rigged. I don't want them to suddenly start hauling on ropes and rip the sail in half because it's not furling properly because they've got it furled incorrectly.
I'll put them through the paces.
Okay.
And I will set to doing that. I will make sure that the crew is familiar with the ship and they know how to unfurl the sails and hoist them all perfectly. Sometimes I'll even blindfold them and tell them to do it. So we start running through the hoops and start doing it.
Run sort of smiles. That would be very fair to the Italians.
Uh,
He
Sucks
laughs
to
a
be
little
them.
bit. Yeah. So, but yeah. While you're doing this, we'll keep an eye. We'll need to make sure we have a sail master. We'll want a couple of different. Actually, you'll probably want to look and see if you can figure out who your second mate's going to be. So
A good suggestion for that would probably be one of the Dusk Fair folk, or one of the the moon folk that have come on, the most capable of the moon folk. That way, you pretty much have all of the major cultures of the crew actually taken care of.
a Dusk Fair folk would have like a night shift captain, a second in command, a night shift guy. So I mean, that would be nice.
Yeah, and the master of sails could definitely be one of the moon folk. So especially if they've been sailors for a while, they're probably the best ones as far as that goes anyway. So there are more of them than there are of anybody else. So
sorry, go for it, Grant.
I was just gonna say that Silas was going to bring forth someone to the captain that he thinks should be the quartermaster after setting some feelers out, and he was going to go into the captain's quarters with Naram, the Tyranian that we picked up, and he's going to bring him in there. I'm like, well, Captain, I think this fine gentleman would make a great quartermaster.
Okay, well, definitely be talking him up then. And although you may have a bit of a trouble with the moon folk, with him sitting, he is Tyranian. That's who was holding them earlier.
That is the one hurdle that I have thought of. I'm not sure how to smooth it over, but they can surely see that not all Tyranians are evil, I guess. But we'll see what will happen. But I think Mr. Naram is more than qualified.
I think he is too, but at the same time, as I said, the quartermaster is the one who's appointed by the crew. So if he can go out there and convince them to back him, then by all means.
I will do what I can to see that he is not a slaver or a tyrannical, evil, maniacal Corsair. But ultimately, it will be in the crew's hands.
It will be.
If I'm allowed to be the left side of your brain here, since the time that you've picked up Mr. Singh from Farpoint those months back, and with the conflict with the two Tyranian Corsair vessels, Mr. Singh has proved his mettle and his knowledgeableness, or excuse me, his knowledge to well, at least most of the crew on the Dawnthorn. He's very intelligent, educated, very well spoken, and when you guys fell upon the Tyranian vessels, he was with the other Ateans when they butchered the other crew. And the sight of that horror sort of shook him in a way that he was not aware that his kin could be so barbaric. He has been traveling abroad, far, far from his home. He speaks the trade language, the Turanian language. He speaks Feywise. He speaks of a little bit of the Manavan language. He speaks Yathite. He's very, very intelligent, very, very well spoken when it comes to languages, and he kind of has that charismatic, almost like a cowboy-like feel to him. He's stern, but he's cool. He's very easy to get on with, and um, if you go with him, or actually ask him, or actually excuse me, talk him up, and he will go out of his way to try and rewrite those wrongs that is the other Corsairs had possibly stirred in the Moonfolk. After his short time among Zakiti and the other Moonfolk here, he actually becomes quite fond of them, and very with honorable intentions. Oh, can I help you with this? Do you need help with this? May I get you some fruit? That sort of thing. That's more or less a servant to the rest of the crew, as he's been acting these past few days and weeks. But I will turn it back over to you.
Okay, yeah. Once we get the ship floated and spend that day doing the exercises, getting the crew to the point where they're actually able to work together, and start identifying basically crew leads, people who in each position who's has the best experience, or at least is learning the quickest in some cases. We'll start getting sort of a shakedown of how the crew is going to be organized. As captain, I'm not going to be actually going out there and specifically mentioning Singh for the position of quartermaster. But if anyone comes and asks me about him, I will definitely tell them that I've known him for a while, and he has not shown himself to be in any way akin to those Tyranians who were slavers. As a matter of fact, if that were the case, I would not have allowed him on my ship in the first place.
In regards to that, there are a few Moonfolk that do approach you on that matter specifically.
Yes.
He is the only Tyranian on this vessel, but is he safe and trustworthy enough to sail with us?
He is safe. He is trustworthy. In fact, I have trusted my life to him on a few occasions. And he actually was. I do reiterate the fact that he actually was involved with the liberation of the Moonfolk against his own people. He fought as hard as anyone else did against them. So,
one of the Moonfolk comes to you. You come to know him as Mr. Shiro.
okay.
Shiro comes to you sometime late that evening, and says he actually blatantly just comes out and says, like, I would like to take on the position of the sailmaster on this vessel. I have sailed on my own vessels with my own people for 12.5 cycles before being captured by the slavers and then sold for some time under the Tyranian whip. I would, however, request, if you were to choose me for this task, if that we could possibly find a silk sail. This canvas is all well and good and functions properly as a sail should, but I will tell you, Captain, a silk sail is more durable, and it is light as a feather.
Would I be familiar with what silk is?
Absolutely not.
Okay. I'm like, well.
Your first response would be like, I gotta ask Zakiti what the hell that shit is.
I will at some point have to ask her. So, well, I'll look around for Silas is and wave him over.
I'll go over there.
And I say, this gentleman here is putting himself forward as the master of sail. What do you think? You've been watching these fellows work today. What do you think of his work?
He gives you a bow, by the way.
He is the most competent of the sail workers I have seen.
Mm-hmm.
Not to talk down the others, but he is the one who seems to know what he's doing. Like, he has done this before. So I think he'll be a good candidate.
He says he has. He would. He said he would like to see if we could get a silk sail.
The
hell is that?
I am not sure what silk is, but if he says it will be good, then I don't see why not, Captain. Although I don't know where we would find such a thing.
I look back over him and says, "Well, if I make you master of sail, where will we go to find this silk?"
We would be traveling back to my homeland, which is, he actually turns away and finds what would be north and east to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, in a straight line as the bird flies, maybe a cycle or 3 that way. If we have this the wind, and he looks over at the palms from your guys' deck as you guys are calmly at anchor in this lagoon. The wind has died down a little bit again. I mean, there's still wind, it's not nearly as beautiful feeling as it was before. That's with favorable wind. With this, we're sitting closer to 3 or 4 cycles.
And Matt, that may be a goal for us in the future, but do you think if you can handle this ship with the sails we currently have?
I can work with canvas just fine.
Okay. Then I have no problem with you being our master of sails. Silas, any objections to that?
None at all, Captain. He's the best for the job.
He snaps you a respectful bow. He goes, "Thank you, Captain. Thank you, First Mate."
I'll step out toward the deck and I'll motion to Silas to yell to the crew for their attention.
All right, everyone, listen up. Captain's got to address the people.
And I tell them this here is what was his name again? I'm sorry.
His name is Shiro.
Shiro. I said, "This is Shiro. Shiro will be our master of sail from here out. Listen to him where the sails are concerned. He is the final law, as if he is speaking with my own voice."
A bunch of the moonfolk actually bow to him in unison, and they bow to the captain as well.
Okay. I'll give them a nod in return. So, all right. So look at him and said, "There you go. You'll be Shiro. You'll be you'll be my catcher of wind." So, all right.
He kind of gets that look of determination on his face. He goes, "You tell me. I'll see us on the wind here soon."
Yeah, we will. Before you leave, do you get an idea of whom the crew might be looking at as quartermaster?
Oh, Shiro. Oh, he was halfway down the stairs, and he goes down the stairs, turns around, comes back up, and well, a couple of them were asking about me, but that Mr. Singh fellow, Tyrannian as he may be, he seems very kind at heart.
He is. So, and you being master of sail, I wouldn't want to put too much work upon you. So, otherwise, I said you probably would have been a great quartermaster as well. But I don't want that position being held by someone else who has other duties to attend to as well.
If Mr. Singh is to be made quartermaster, and if he becomes ill and unable to fill his post, I would be willing to fill it in a temporary stint.
That's acceptable. So yes.
Many of us are from the same village or same island, so I know many here. There's a few faces I do not know.
Well, do your job with honor and grace, and we shall see where this takes us. So
he bows to you again and then sets himself back to his task.
Okay. All right. So with that, as I said, we'll basically use some more drills and such until the night, and we'll basically have to communicate with I'll probably actually have to take a dinghy over to the Dawnthorn just before dark, and so we can have ourselves a captain's meeting. Decide when we're going to leave. Well, I'm going to decide when we're going to leave and how we're going to do this.
Okay.
And sort of coordinate things.
Just the captains, or are you bringing the first mates with as well?
I'll leave the first mates on the ship, because the first mate needs to be in control of the ship when the captain's not there. So
okay.
But I will have a Darius row me over. So
in the past 48 hours, Darius seems to be that tattoo seems to have put a little bit more vigor in him, and he stands up straighter now. Okay. He quite literally was a boy. Yeah. Braum put his first tattoo on him. He's like, oh, now I have to grow up.
Part of the reason I want him to roll me over is I'm gonna have a little talk with him on the way. And as we get away from the ship, I look at him and say, Darius,
yeah, boss.
Do you understand what the position of cabin boy means?
No, I actually don't.
Well, what the cabin boy does, and even though the term is called cabin boy, it does not necessarily mean that you're not a man. You are the person who is responsible for the captain's person. You make sure that my equipment is properly cared for and tended. You make sure that my clothing has been cleaned. You're the one.
I'm like a butler, is what you're saying.
Well, yes, but you're also the person who is there to be my eyes and ears by the crew. If you hear grumbling of people who are discontent, you let me know so we can fix it. Because there are some things that crew will not say to me or to Silas, or even to Sing if they vote him quartermaster,
or even to Shiro,
but they may not have any problem speaking of it around you. Because I'll tell you this, as you know, you're young. Some of the crews sort of see you as a possibly underfoot, or may see you as even Steven is still just a lad still. That's a good thing to be right now, because they will say things.
Kind of cocks an eyebrow at you at that. Like, no, it's not.
Yeah, well,
I'm the youngest, and I'm. He tries to protest, but he catches your eye. He's like, Sorry, Captain.
But yes, that's what you'll also be. So when you hear grumbles, you bring it to me and tell me. And you'll also, though, when I eat, you'll eat. You'll actually sleep in my cabin, and I'll have a cot rig for you in there, so that if I need you, you're there. So you get to sleep in a cabin. You don't have to sleep among the rest of the crew, or in some cramped closet somewhere with barrels in the back of the place. You can ask Silas about that someday. But so there are perks to it.
Yeah, I haven't had a bed this entire time, Captain.
But you'll have one now if you choose to accept the position I'm offered. Otherwise, you'll just remember the crew, and you'll still be doing all the other stuff. Plus, on the bonus side, she sort of leans forward with a conspiratorial look in his eye and a sort of half smile. You won't have to haul on a lanyard. You won't have to climb a rigging. You won't have to lift your finger to go out and actually do the hard work that it takes to run that ship, as long as you are taking care of the captain.
And no more damn chorus line, then.
Well, I'll tell you, lad, that was a bit of fun.
He mouth open, and he kind of he tries to point an accusatory finger at you, and he thinks better of. He's a smart kid, but he just shuts the fuck up real quick.
Okay. And Uranus leans back a little bit and says, and one day you'll find some young kid fresh off of a dock, never had his feet wet, and you'll do the same to him, because you got to know a lot of people doing that, and you got familiarized with how a hold is organized. You wind up gathering a lot of fruit. You did a lot of good work during that time while you were doing it, and you didn't quit. That actually impressed a lot of the men out there. Trust me.
He just
So,
nods. You got your boat thunks into the hull of the Dawnthorn at this point, and
okay,
you guys kind of like sit there as the
okay,
boat kind of rocks, and
okay.
he just nods. All
Well,
right.
stay with the boat. This won't take very long.
He drops an
And
anchor.
okay. And I call up to the boat to ask permission to board. So,
A line drops down. No, excuse me, a rope ladder drops down.
okay, I'll climb it, and basically we'll go. Basically, it's just a sort of hand wave. Plus, the discussion we're going to have is just basically which direction we're going. We're sailing to. Sort of looking at the charts to verify that I know where he's going, where the next ship is, or next port is. So if we do get separated, I at least have the basic idea of where I'm going to. Because I've never actually sailed in this area by myself before.
Right.
And so that's sort of the basics of that. So, and then
So you enter Grimnir's cabin.
mhm.
There's a bit of laughter as you about to knock on the door.
Mm-hmm.
The door opens and then Kel is there. His red mane, his smile. He's, oh, Granus, come on in.
Okay. Come on in and fit our bulk in these into the captain's cabin, which is pretty big for a ship, but it's also not very big in total area in most cases.
No.
So, okay. Find a seat and said, so I'm just here to verify our course and the points the points we'll be looking for if we get separated. So
Graham is sitting at his desk. They've been drinking. They've been having a kind of a little party in there.
okay.
There is Grimnir, Satsu. Kel just stepped out for a piss. Rockbeak is still sleeping. He's still up there. No one's called him down, so he's having a grand old time.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably singing past the time by now.
Yeah.
Zakiti is sitting on her cot, or excuse me, she doesn't have a cot. She actually has a bed, and she's got a bunch of papers around her. And Grimnir waves you over. He goes, "All right, course.
Yes.
We've actually gone over the rudders in the Moon Mistress. We've compiled everything.
Okay.
Satsu has your rudder now. She actually goes over to a side table, picks up this big bundle, looks like an oversized manila folder with that's kind of like half leather, half paper, and she kind of holds it out to you. Big beaming smile there, and she goes, "Well, this is a combination of all three ships, all of their charts. There is a way back to Felport. There is a way back to Rama. There's a way back to Farpoint from here. You can see Sir Kelsa on there. He's the closest one. She points to what would be a local map. She goes, this is where we are now.
Okay.
Actually, notice that the nearest port, Sir Kelsa, is really close nearby. And it kind of dawns on you. We're kind of surprised that you haven't seen any other ships in the past 8.5. So you kind of get this like wave of relief as this is pretty safe where you guys are right now.
Okay.
And Graham says, well, there is a chart in there that you need to guard with your life.
Okay.
You are not on the overseer's payroll, and you are not a privateer like I am, nor is Kel. Speaking of which, Kel comes back in, and he sits down in a chair nearby. Now, Garanus, like I said, you're not a privateer. You are under
It's true.
me, and therefore you don't have an obligation to pillage for the overseer. If you would like to be, we can either take care of that now or in the future.
It's something I'll put to my crew.
The overseer pays well. That is all I will tell you.
I'm not sure necessarily if the Moonfolk crew will have as positive view of the overseer as we have. I just want to make sure that they're not going to feel compelled and wind up mutinying on me if I just come back with a letter of marque and say we're now privateers for Feldward. So,
No. Just that's I'm placing that on the table. You may take it whenever you wish.
yes, I do thank you for the offer. So,
The chart in question is the chart back to the Dark Continent. That's where the Moonfolk come from. Do not, under any circumstances, let that fall into the hands of anyone else, because the Moonfolk of the room, the other captains, it just gets deadly silent in there. The only other people to our knowledge that know are a handful of other captains and what's left of Atlantis.
Yes.
The secret magic that Zakiti and Satsu and soon your seer will know is actually captured sorcery from their seers, what they have been using ages past to conquer the oceans of the world. So, before the gods of the land and the sea, the old and the new, the deceased and the sleeping gods. And he actually stands. Kel actually stands too.
And I'll stand as well.
And Kel actually puts a hand on his saber. And actually, you actually see this out of the corner of your eye. He actually does it rather threatening. Before all of the gods listening, if your ship, the Moon's Mistress, is to go down, or your charts are to be captured, you better sink that ship properly. And I'm quite certain you know how that goes.
It will. And being a smith, as you know, I know how to deal with coals on a board ship when it's at sea. If it seems that my ship is to be taken by anyone else, that chart will go in the coals.
Good.
It will not be read by anyone other than myself and my pilot.
And Kel also he reiterates. He doesn't. You tell by the sound, the tone of his voice, that he doesn't want to have to reiterate. But if your ship should sink, you best sink with it.
That, from what I understand, is the captain's bond with his ship. If it goes down, he goes down with it.
Right now, with that, Satsu actually takes out a small bronze knife. Grim comes forward, and Kel comes forward, and she you guys ceremoniously cut your hands, and
okay.
You guys perform a blood pact.
Okay.
Over this new vessel. And Satsu actually takes out an earthenware jar, and she opens the jar for you, and she takes out a small fairy, like a pixie, a light blue pixie, and almost like the size of Tinkerbell, like sitting in the palm of her hand.
Yeah.
And she says, "This pixie has agreed to be bound to your ship." Just like the Dawnthorn and the Black Lotus. You've noticed that over the past several cycles that there's runes actually carved into the mast
Yes.
and some of the railings. Those are binding runes. There's a Fae in each one of those ships, and each of those ferries like to run across the waves. You guys make your blood pact, and Satsu brings that Fae to the Moon's Mistress. She binds this ferry to your ship, carves a bunch of runes in it, and Kel brings you a bucket of. Well, they're actually not doing this now, but they're basically instructing you what to do. Kel brings you a bunch of, I think, a bucket of silver white paint. He goes, well, mark your ship like the rest of us. I'm going to put a silver stripe across your hull. That way everyone knows that you'll be running with us.
Will do. And I make arrangements to have that done, to have that painted. And if there is enough, I am going to make sure that the name of the ship is picked out on the bow, the Moon's Mistress.
Oh, there'll be enough for that, of course.
Yeah, and make sure that is done as well, so that everyone knows who we are. So.
And with that, we have 3 ships here, flying into the same colors, and you guys are part of the same, I suppose, armada at that point.
Fleet.
It's a 3 ship fleet, 3 raiders.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, you are, well, not dismissed. You can go back whenever you wish. They're kind of like having a little powwow, drinking.
Yeah,
and relaxing.
He'll spend some time there and sort of pal with him for a bit. But yeah, he will eventually, about an hour or so, he'll head back over to his own ship to get it ready for sailing the next morning. So, and let everybody know what needs to be done. So, and,
roundabout dawn the next day, there's a knock on the captain's door of the Moon's Mistress.
Have Darius open it for me as I'm sort of as I take a pose next to my desk as if I'm looking at charts. So,
Darius opens, and you see Zakiti standing with another Moonfolk girl. Who's a little bit older than she is, maybe like her mid-20s when it comes to cycles.
I turn and face her and bow to her and say, Mistress Zakiti, you're welcome in my cabin, you and your companion.
She gives you a smile. She bows. She goes, thank you. And she goes, this is my friend Rin. She is from the Isle Ven. She will be your seer on this ship. She's not as skilled as Satsu or I, but she is learning, and she is willing to take up the task of being a pilot. She has never been a pilot before, but she is determined to learn. She knows how to read a chart. She knows how to read Feywise, and she speaks a little bit of it. Rin gives you a very deep, respectful bow.
I bow back to her, giving her just as deep a bow. And I say, welcome aboard, Mistress Pilot. So thank you very much for offering your service to the Moon's Mistress. I have quarters set aside for you. You may have whatever you need brought over if you have it, or if you need things, just let myself or motion to Darius here, who is my cabin boy, and it will be provided to you as fast as we can possibly get it.
Darius gives her a nod and says, if you want, I can show you your quarters. And Zakiti, she says a few things to her in their language. And Rin actually goes and sits down in a chair. She kind of like nestles down in it and just like gets comfortable.
Okay. So, so Zucchini, I trust your judgment with her, and so we'll be following you at least to the next port, so she'll have a bit of time to get to know the crew. But thank you very much for talking to her and taking this on.
She nods. She goes, she's new to the art and the dance of it, but she's quick.
I hope she'll feel at home here. So.
I'm sure she will. Well, with big, scary Silas about, she should be quite safe.
Ah, yes. Big, scary Silas. He's taken to the first base position very well.
Oh, I heard he should be quite busy. I will miss watching the stars and the moon with him, but I'm sure we'll see him in port sometime.
We will, and I'll make sure he has time to come stargaze with you.
With that, she bows and she dismisses herself, and Rin just kind of like sitting there in the chair, like mousy, keeping to herself.
It's okay. I'll take a chair and sit down a respectable distance from her, and I'll say, "Well, Rin," and I'm saying, trying to speak slowly and Fey-wise.
Right. Okay.
And I say, "I will teach you my language of Fey-wise, if you will be so kind as to teach me yours."
She takes a long moment, kind of like chewing on your words, and she nods and she smiles. She says, "I would like that in broken Fey-wise."
I think we will have ourselves many adventures and become fast friends.
She nods. She says, "Where is my quarters to be?" And with that, I mean, Darius is already up on his feet. He's like, it's over here.
Yes. Darius here is a bit rough around the edges, Ren, but he's a good lad and he's trustworthy. He is my cabin boy, and he will also be tasked with taking care of any needs you may need. But if you would, Darius, show her, because it's right to the door.
He quickly, respectfully, very gently deposits her in her room, because she's got to organize it the way she wants it. Because, I mean, you guys kind of used it as a storeroom. She's got to, like, move shit around. And then Darius comes back, and she goes, she's going to be busy for a while. Okay. Unless she asks me something.
Yeah, she put herself at her beck and call. If she needs anything, you get it. So.
I think, Captain, before we leave, I think I want Brom to give me another tattoo.
Okay.
I don't know what with. Mm-hmm. But maybe it'll wait until we get to Sir Kelsey, but I think I want another one.
Okay. Sure, we can make arrangements for that. So, all that may have to wait, because I believe we are going to be departing with the morning tide.
And with that, as soon as you say that, it's almost like the punctuation, the period on the end of that sentence is Kel roaring to the other two ships that it's time to shove off, lads.
And off we shove. Anchors up, sails up, and I'll go up to the captain's deck, and I give the orders loud enough. Silas gets to yell them out to the rest of the crew. Sailmaster gets to yell his orders in his language to his crew people to get the sails up, and the ship becomes alive.
When Kel yells, he's drawn Rockbeak abruptly out of a drunken stupor.
He's been stewing up there for days.
he's thoroughly pickled, and I mean, thankfully he's got scales. He might be a little bit more vibrant now with all that sunlight.
Oh yeah, he's pretty. He's pretty. He's like a little rainbow now. He's piston up there.
Kel yells up at you. No, you wrinkly, scaly, scabrous reptile. You stay up there. I stay your ugly self afar from my gaze.
Hey, you ain't gotta tell me twice. I like it where I am just fine.
Yeah, but I'm cutting you off.
Yeah, well, we'll see about that.
Do your job. And with that,
And
we will have closing soliloquies. I would like one from we'll get one from Grim, we'll get one from Kel, Rockbeak, Silas, and Garanus here. So, Grant, who goes first?
I guess Rockbeak will go first, as he is stewing up there in his home away from home, the crow's nest. It's been a long time since he's had any R&R, and he honestly doesn't want it to end. He would very much like it if they just stayed on that island for, a chain, a cycle, whatever. He could use a nice sunbathing, but duty calls. I mean, people aren't going to smuggle themselves. People aren't going to, they're going to be lost without him, What are they going to do without Rockbeak sitting there telling them what to do? And it's a beautiful melody that he plays in the night when he sleeps. But someone's got to do it. It's tough work. Who else would Rockbeak? I mean, he basically is a Black Lotus. Kel may be captain in name, but it's all Rockbeak keeping this old tub this tub floating. He's the one that has to cater to the pilot's every whim. He's the one that has to do this ritual for, or go help this and do this, fetch this. But he wouldn't have it any other way. He likes Kel for all the flack he gives him and all the shit that they shit talking that he would die for Kel, and he'd die for Black Lotus. And this is just another day on the job, another long day on the job. Hell, he really don't like going back to the Dark Continent, but you gotta do what you gotta do. The less moon folk he sees, the better, honestly, in Rockbeak's eyes. Just because most of them are in his eye needy, very, very needy. I don't know why he would get that sense of why they would be so needy, but he just can't quite shake the fact that he hates going there. And he would rather just be chasing that course line into the sunset for all eternity than have to do another trip there. But once more into the breach, he'll look into his nest and scrummage around for a jug. Maybe look for one that has maybe a drop or two left, and then he'll just have one little drop on his beak. And then, shit, here we go again.
And with that, we'll go to Kel. Kel is standing on the command deck of the Black Lotus, and he's surveying his rowdy crew of Corsairs. A lot of them are Yathites. A handful of them are moonfolk that have signed on with the many smuggling raids, the spice runs. He's taken the Black Lotus through the Cannibal Isles. He's gone through battle with both Felport as well as Tyrannian and Yathite trading vessels. In the face of the horror and the corruption of the shadow spawn of the world, Kel does not fear anything save for things in his nightmares. He's been plagued by horrible night terrors since he was a boy. His His motto is, if I can cut it and it bleeds, there's no fear that needs to come from it or with it, just a respect. His patron god, the Burning Fury, does keep him warm at night, but she offers a protection and a light. He goes, I need to keep my girls safe. He looks down at his moonfolk passengers, and he knows full well that it's not advisable, no, excuse me, it's not favored or looked upon well that he had just come from the islands and now he has to make a round all the way back up to the Dark Continent. That's another 3 cycles back the opposite way. But they had rescued a number of them, and they're going to be taking them home. He looks to the northeast. I hope I can sink some Atlanteans on the way there. He looks up at Rockbeak. Rockbeak hasn't hung anyone on his spear in a while either. He's probably quite itching for such a thing. The stage lights dim on Kel as he's plotting that extra course, and he looks to Satsu, hands her a bit of his journal. She copies some notes down, and the stage lights come up to illuminate Garanus. Take it away, my man.
So Garanus stands upon the deck of his ship, next to the wheel, looking out as this young new crew is scampering about the ship, raising the sails, pulling up the anchors, getting this ship ready to actually leap out over the waves. Through his feet, he can almost feel that little fairy, that spirit infusing the wood of the deck, and feel its eagerness to leap forward on the wind, as if it's like almost as if it's spreading its wings and getting ready to fly. And he feels that energy infusing itself into every member of this crew. He can actually see a difference since they did that ritual of how the crew interacts and works together, and seems to work more in unison, more as if they're one entity, as if something's connecting them. And he notices that every man, to a man, they have that new tattoo out where it's able to be seen. He looks over to behind him to the door, which opens up back to the cabins, and sees Darius come out with that one big tattoo proudly on his chest. And behind him, Ren comes out to see this as he set off. Silas is down on the deck, bouncing around from area to area, correcting this one fellow or another. And he looks up at the horizon. He knows where he's going. He has in his heart almost a flutter of anticipation mixed with a little bit of fear, because he knows now, very, very soon, these people's lives will be in his hands, and anything that happens to them will be on his head. He'll no longer have the tutelage of the Dawn Thorn and the Black Lotus right there off his beams. And those captains right there next to him to give him advice. He knows now it's all him. He has to be the person who, when that crew looks up at that deck, they see him standing there like a statue against the storm. They see him in his confidence and gain energy from it. And if they look up and they see the fear on his face, if they see the doubt in his eyes, then that doubt will infect them just as surely as any other disease. So he takes a deep breath and lets it out, sort of in a long. And he said, "Let's get on our way, gentlemen." And the last of the sails are raised up to catch the wind, off to a new unknown shore.
we will go to Captain Grimnir, who is actually towing the line. He's bringing up the rear. If there is a marching order or a sailing order, the Moon's Mistress has the point. The Black Lotus is shortly behind her, and the ore ship, the Dawnthorn, is towing the injured Tyrannian back. And Grim, the dauntless captain that you've been sailing with for now 3.5 cycles since the beginning of this adventure. He, shirtless, leans over the railing of the command deck, and he's watching Garanus through 2 ships, all long 1,000-yard stare. And he goes, well, show me what you have, boy. Show me. I want to see the sun radiating off of your sails. Let me see it. Zucchini, see if we can get us some more wind here. And he just stands up straight, his shoulders back, and he smiles at the beginning of this small fleet of his. You guys are sailing northeast, back to Cirkelsa. And with that, we will close the session. Thank you for tuning in, everybody, to this interlude series, Corsairs on the Iron Mist. Thank you very much. We will be taking a short break, and then we'll be coming back. Good night, everybody.
Good night.